Conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good morning. Good to have you on board. In just a few hours, the Prime Minister will declare Britain's experiment with open borders has failed.
New English language requirements, an ECHR crackdown and a longer route to residency are among the government's tall orders.
But can Labour deliver the message to migrants hoping to forge a life here that living in the UK is a privilege, not a right?
Change the law. The people of this nation did that, and they've shown in their response to the Post Office that we cannot abide liars and bullies.
Big wins for Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, but big snubs for others as the 2025 BAFTAs go out with a bang.
Yes, it was a good night if your name was Mr. Bates, Mr. Loverman or Mr. Big Stuff, but not a good night if you're a traitor. I'll have the latest from last night's BAFTA TV Awards later in the show.
History in the making. Ukraine's president offers to meet Russia's president in person as soon as Thursday.
A crisis in pensioner poverty. An epidemic of elderly supermarket shoplifting is reported since the Chancellor's cuts to winter fuel payments.
Almost half of us say we trust our partner with money matters more than anyone else. But should couples combine their finances? What do you do? Let us know. We're debating that 7:20.
From dad bod to abs and a six-pack. Don't miss our interview later this morning with a man who went on a radical diet to transform his body in just 4 weeks.
Thunder and lightning is in the forecast for some of us as we kick off this new week. I'll have all the details later and whether you're likely to see any.
Hello there, very good morning to you. Coming up to a couple of minutes past 6, we start the week here with Eamonn.
And Ellie, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Oh, so many things to talk about this morning. One of those things, that guy, Harry Wallop, who's a journalist and who transformed his body, lost all that weight, got himself a six-pack.
In 4 weeks.
That's the thing. How did he do that?
Well, he's on later, so we can ask him.
4 weeks?
No time at all.
What?
He must have not been eating.
Oh, I don't know. Just to...
And been in the gym every day, all day.
And then you get the body transformation, and his wife doesn't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very bad.
There you go.
And then it's the maintenance as well.
Yeah.
He wants to keep
and
it.
Talking about maintenance, sharing your finances. If you are a married couple or you're committed couple, what is the situation? Now, I've always had, I'm not good with money, but I've always had the attitude, what's mine is yours.
You're very generous, yes.
But there's a lot of people who are not very generous.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a very nice trait.
No, I don't think how you can have a partner in life and yet you're like, how much have I got to you?
You owe me £3.50 for your coffee this morning.
Yeah, please, can I have a dress? You know, or you know,
that must be horrible.
Quite demeaning. I think it's quite demeaning in many ways to act like that. Whatever. But what way do you share the family finances? Let us know. But then I don't have any money. That's probably why. You see, too generous.
Because you're too generous, you give it all away.
All the time. All the time.
That's probably what it is.
Top story, Ellie, is what?
Well, the government is unveiling its long-awaited white paper outlining how it plans to cut net migration.
Sir Keir Starmer will admit Britain's migration policy has failed and that radical change will be needed to win back trust.
Well, the proposal will include things like a 10-year citizenship wait and a crackdown on foreign care workers.
The Home Office is billing it as a sweeping overhaul, but could it be perceived as a cynical tactic to win back the red wall?
Well, let's speak now to former Conservative advisor Oscar Redrop, who joins us now. Good to see you, Oscar. What do you make of this?
I think it is, no matter what the Prime Minister says, what the Labour Party says, this is a complete panic reaction to the local election results. I think that they banked on the ill will the country has, probably rightly so, for the Conservatives and how they ran things for the last few years, and in fairness, probably particularly on issues like immigration. And they thought that's probably given us a buffer of, 18 months, 2 years, and we can quietly crack on. People are up for change. They're up for a Labour government. And I think they were living in that delusional kind of fantasy world in Number 10. And I think those locals have completely shocked and rocked them to the core. And I think this is a complete, direct, part of the tanks on reform lawn. The message the devil is in the detail, so we'll see today in terms of these announcements. The message, I think, is probably decent, actually, and I think they're tinkering around and they're looking at things in our asylum system that would appeal to voters. But the messenger, as in Keir Starmer,
yes,
people don't believe a word of it,
okay,
and that's their credibility.
But Oscar, what I don't understand, you've been on the inside, you'll know the manoeuvring on this sort of thing. They knew what the situation was. They knew what the tactical position was. Why did they need to wait for the local government elections and cost themselves seats and power and influence when they could have said, here's what we're thinking of doing? Yeah. And this is what they're thinking of doing. Why? I don't understand. Why wait?
Yeah, well, Keir Starmer's not a proactive leader. No. He doesn't take those risks at all. He kind of waits until there's only one option, and then he will take that option when there's nothing else to do. And also, and in fairness to the Labour Party, and people will be sick to the back teeth of people like me highlighting these points, but it's a part of the political game and world that we live in, unfortunately. But they have moved the story on relatively well from those horrific local election results. You see the front pages today. It's got, centre-right newspapers kind of, detailing the white paper, kind of commending the Labour Party for finally perhaps hearing the electorate. And so from that, we look at those trade deals they got done last week. They've moved the story on quite successfully from those locals. But that's all just the window-dressing political optics of things. The sustenance, the substance here is that reform are believable and credible on this issue. I think people see someone like Farage and they think, yeah, he gets it, he believes it. No one believes Keir Starmer wants to be tough on immigration.
But if Labour bring down net migration from 728,000, that is a good aim. I think anybody can say that.
There's no chance.
But Eamonn's cynicism there is probably reflective. I mean, you're literally laughing.
I don't even see why we're debating it. And do you know the other thing is, I mean, Oscar talks there about that Indian trade deal. Well, somebody tell me what we got out of that Indian trade deal, because I'm sorry, Oscar, everybody, we get a load of flip-flops coming in from India, which we're allowed to do. We're allowed to take workers. Why we need these workers, I do not know, because we've got enough people unemployed here, and they don't have to pay national insurance. I just, honestly, I sit and I look at it, and everybody's supposed to say, hurrah, what a fantastic deal for Britain. Was it?
Yeah, no. I'm not. I don't think a lot of people were particularly sold on that, particularly on the insurance differentials. But look, on this, I think it's put the Tories in a difficult place.
Yeah.
Because the only place they can go is like, well, we would instill a cap.
They'd support this, though. I mean, ECHR loopholes closing that, a 10-year wait for citizenship, better standard of English. I mean, the Tories surely would back this.
Yeah, that's...
And if it works, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, and that's why we're seeing, actually, credit where it's due. Perhaps Keir Starmer and his, number 10 team are hearing the hatred, borderline hatred and contempt that's out there for them in the country. And immigration is undoubtedly, when you look at those locals, another read on it is immigration is one of the, if not the top issue in the country. Okay. And just very, very quickly, lastly, Keir Starmer, I think, there would be more drastic action needed for people to fully believe it. As in, don't tinker around the ECHR, leave it. I think that's what critics would say.
Well, the headlines are screaming out today. Migrants must earn the right to stay and improve their English in a new Labour crackdown. Starmer to toughen migration rules in a challenge to reform. So there's another issue.
Yeah, what about a challenge to the Tories? Everyone's forgot about
that. OK. Yeah. Oscar, thanks very much indeed. That's got people thinking. We'll see you again at 7 o'clock and we'll get some response to what you've had to say this morning.
Now, it's the biggest night for British television. TV's finest descended on London's Royal Festival Hall for the 2025 BAFTA Television Awards.
Well, ITV's Mr Bates versus the Post Office scooped Best Limited Drama. Ruth Jones won the female comedy category for her role in Gavin and Stacey. See if you can spot her tribute to her beloved character, Nessa.
I'm not going to lie, this is immense. I wasn't expecting to win this, no way. I've won a BAFTA before, of course I have, in 1976. It was the Barry Arcade Fruity Technician Awards. And I was grateful for that, but this is cracking.
Oh, well, with us now to share all night's gossip is GB News Entertainment editor Alex Davis. Good to see you,
Morning.
Alex. And who were the big winners?
Well, yeah, Ruth, like you've just seen, Mr Bates as well did very well. It was a night full of shocks, to be honest with you. Going into it, Disney Plus's Rivals, Apple's Slow Horses and Netflix's Baby Reindeer were the three biggest talked about shows, tipped to do very well. And really, Baby Reindeer came away with Best Supporting Actress for Jessica Gunning. She's now won the SAG, the Emmy, the Golden Globe and the BAFTA. So that's all four, and we can hear from her now. This was her speech.
Jessica Gunning.
So, yeah, so she played the real-life stalker Martha in that Netflix series. I don't know if you've seen it. It was very, very good.
It was very good, yeah.
But Baby Reindeer was up for loads of awards, as was Rivals, as was Slow Horses, and that was pretty much the only one that they all won. It was also disappointing for The Traitors. That was up for 3 awards. Claudia Winkleman lost. It lost for Best Moment of the Year, and it lost for Best Reality as well.
Well, I've never seen an episode of Traitors, and of the dramas you were talking about there, I have seen Slow Horses and rave about it. It is superb. What's his name, the main actor?
So Gary Oldman. He was up.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's
filthy
legend
in it. He's filthy, and his hair looks as though it hasn't seen water
like he needs a wash.
for about 9 months or so.
It does in Slow Horses in particular as well. He looks very dishevelled in Slow Horses. But he lost in Best Actor. That was probably the most contended category of the evening. There was Toby Jones from Mr. Bates in there, Richard Gadd from Baby Reindeer in there, and that one actually went to Lenny James, who was in Mr. Loverman, which is the BBC's drama about a Caribbean-born man who embarks on an affair with his best friend and lies to his wife, basically, for their whole lives.
The best friend, a man?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And that was sort of the big surprise of the evening, because he won Best Actor, and then the supporting actor went to his co-star, Arian Bakari. And not a lot of people saw that coming. Like I said, a lot of the build-up was about Baby Reindeer and these big Netflix Disney shows, and the BBC's Mr. Loverman came in and took the 2 biggest acting ones. There was also a nice BAFTA for Danny Dyer.
Yeah, he got quite emotional, didn't he?
He did. I watched... I was there last night. So I saw the full unedited 3.5 hours, and the speech in BBC's broadcast was incredibly edited. Let's just say that. But this is the moment he won.
Danny Dyer, Mr. Big Stuff.
I'd like to dedicate this to Ryan Sampson. One of the greatest things to come out of Rotherham, and it's not saying much, but one of the best actors this country's ever produced, I'm telling you. Never done the same thing twice, which is not something I can say.
So he was in Rivals as well, but he won that for a Sky series called Mr. Loverman. So it was a nice moment for Danny Dyer, who everybody knows.
I thought the BBC Two one was called Mr. Loverman.
There's Mr.
Big Stuff. There was a lot of Misters last night.
Oh, right.
We had Mr. Bates, Mr. Loverman, Mr. Big Stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mr. Bates, that won the Special Award.
Yes.
And it won the Best Limited Drama. And I believe we should be able to hear from some of their cast when they won the awards now.
And this story only had the impact it did because the people who watched it stood up as one and demanded action with such rage that the government had no choice but to respond. Our show didn't change the law. The people of this nation did that, and they've shown in their response to the Post Office that we cannot abide liars and bullies.
Well, there's the thing when television actually changes things in real life, but the sad thing is nothing has changed after that Post Office review. There's still people waiting for compensation, but the social awareness brought about by that drama has been incredible.
Well, they made a point of that last night. Even though they were saying the impact that this drama has had has been monumental, still nowhere near enough has been done. No. They've been fighting for 25 years now. And they still need their money.
Well, Alex, listen, we've lots more to talk about. We'll see you back again shortly. Thank you for attending that for us last night and reflecting who won what.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Now let's get a check on the weather. It's going to be a stunning week. Jonathan Vaughtry's got all the details.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Some of us are starting off the week with a bang because thunderstorms are in the forecast as this area of low pressure moves its way in from the south to provide a slightly more unsettled picture for some of us. We've already got areas of rain across western Scotland to kick off the day. This is heavy at times, so it will tend to ease off throughout the day. Outbreaks, though, lingering for parts of eastern Northern Ireland as well. It's really into this afternoon that we'll start to see those heavy, thundery downpours developing. Particular focus for them to spread across parts of London, through the Midlands, into areas of Wales, Cheshire region as well. Northern coast of the West Country could also see some heavy downpours at times. There will be hit and miss. Not everyone in these regions will see them, but where they do occur, some localised flooding is possible, so it's worth taking care. And if you do miss them, there will be some warm sunshine in play. Temperatures rising to the mid-20s across parts of Wales and England. 19-20 degrees Celsius possible through the central belt of Scotland as well. These showers will tend to ease off as we do move into the evening, sort of rumbling a little bit across parts of northwest England, southwest Scotland before eventually dying their way out. And many of us will then see a dry second half of the night with some clear spells. Some mist and fog will develop in places, pushing in across the eastern coast at a time with that breeze coming in off the North Sea. But it will be relatively mild. Temperatures in the south particularly holding up in double-digit figures. Single figures more likely across areas to the north and the east. Well, away from some cloud across the far north coast of Scotland, it's likely to be a very bright, sunny morning for most of us on Tuesday. Again, there'll be some showers and thunderstorms cropping up, but this time much more limited to parts of South Wales and areas of the West Country, and many of us really will get away with a nice, fine, warm, dry day. Temperatures again peaking in the 20s, perhaps 25 degrees Celsius in the south and east. And the theme throughout the rest of this week is for the sunshine really to be prevailing, remaining dry for most of us with some warm conditions persisting.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
So here's the question for you today. Has the government abandoned Britain's pensioners? And we're talking about this because there's been a big rise, a huge rise in elderly shoplifting.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that.
Yeah, so old people, you know, are forced now to lift stuff from shops because they simply can't afford it.
It's so sad, isn't it?
Well, do you know somebody who's in that situation? Do you know what we should do about it? We're going to be talking about that. Shocking, right after this.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, the strange thing is, the interesting thing is, we were to do an item about shoplifting now and how elderly people are involved in this. We have this lovely woman coming on whose name is Anita Atkinson, and she's a volunteer for homeless people. And we're talking about why people are stealing and whatever of a certain age. The thing is, So I don't know what's. I shouldn't be laughing. Something's happened to her laptop. So, but we're going to try. What we're trying to do is to get it set up and get it organised. But we do hope nobody's stolen it yet.
No, I don't think that. I think it's just an issue with the camera. So whilst we fix that.
No. Why don't we fix that? Let's talk about shoplifting. So
you want to do that? OK,
yes,
that's
fine.
That's it. A rise in elderly people shoplifting. Why is that? Well, they say it's down to the winter fuel cuts. So pensioners are now stealing in order to eat. I mean, it's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, so the thing is that a lot of people would assume older people couldn't be bothered or wouldn't be motivated by this or whatever. And I think the terrifying thing about this, we've got Oscar Reddrop back in the studio now, is that these elderly people just feel they've nothing else to do, nowhere else to go but do this.
Yeah, and it's politically correct. It's politically connected as well to a lot of government policy when you think about it. I do genuinely think the winter fuel stuff is one of the, and the Tories have tried to label it as a kind of a Labour's poll tax moment. But that will have a huge effect on people's state of mind, and that's kind of connected, I think, to what you're saying, Eamonn. It is almost like I have nothing to lose here.
Yeah. Nothing to give as well.
Nothing to give, nothing to lose. It's hit so low, it's hit rock bottom for me that I don't have any. My risk kind of faculty isn't there anymore, and I'll do it. It's tragic actually when you think about it.
I mean, if I was working in security at a huge supermarket, honestly, if I saw a pensioner stealing food, I'd pretend like I couldn't see. I'd just let them get away with it.
Yeah.
Because why would anybody stop them? I mean, if you are that desperate where you are stealing to eat, as with a mother and baby, it would be exactly the same.
Yeah. But say it wasn't food. Say it wasn't food. Say it was washing up liquid. Would that affect the way you think?
I think the same applies.
Yeah, I think the same applies.
If I think about my grandma, she was in a position that was that hard up and that desperate. She was doing that weekly, daily, whatever. That would break my heart. And
yeah,
you're right,
absolutely.
I would just think of my grandmother and I would just turn a blind eye as well, if I'm honest.
So would I. I mean, it's just awful.
You see, some of you will be listening or watching today and you'll either know someone or you'll think, I have done that myself. That is how bad things are. And I don't think that you can just say, oh, so-and-so does it, so-and-so doesn't do it. I think it has become a way to exist for many, many people, and there's no alternative. And, you know, Oscar, this is what I think, people who haven't had real jobs in their lives and who are politicians, and do they really understand the tax situation? The tax situation and indirect taxes, the VATs of this world, you know, on top of everything else. Everything is taxed and taxed and taxed again. Taxed when you live, taxed when you die. I really don't understand how we've got to this situation and how nobody feels should be any responsibility or control over public spending.
I think I get like I get quite angry about it, not just on behalf of myself, but on behalf of other people. Like the cost and the burden on people's backs in terms of tax is insane, and they get nothing for it. People look around their lives and they go, well, if you're really going to put all this weight on my shoulders and the work that I do, I have to give it all back to you guys. But like public services are good, my food shop I can afford, you know, I have a peace of mind, then I think people would get it. But when life is as tough as it is for people, and it's not like, you know, a lot of people work, I was going to swore there, people work really, really hard. And then they hand it all over to Keir Starmer or, you know, Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak.
Or Tesco, you know,
or Tesco,
or whoever it happens to be. Their profits, I've just heard on the radio during the week, their profits are not in the millions. Their profits are in the billions. And I think it was like something, I wouldn't like to be officially quoted on this, but I think you're talking about hundreds of billions of pounds.
Yeah, scary. Yeah. And yet you've got, you know, people's grandparents and, you know, out there having to steal food because they can't afford to eat.
So Anita was struggling to connect with us. Doesn't look like we're going to connect with her, but just to reflect what she was planning on saying is that she works with a lot of the homeless community. She's a volunteer. She says she's seen a real rise in pensioners experiencing homelessness. And she gives one example of a guy who wasn't able to access his pension for one reason or another. He became homeless very quickly because he wasn't able to pay his rent, of course, and now he's begging on the streets for food. That's the story she wanted to come on and tell us.
And this story doesn't hit home, Oscar, if it's about young people. Because they think, oh, they should be able to do better. They have an opportunity to change all this. But I think the fact that the profile we're talking about is elderly people, that pulls at somebody's heartstrings, I think.
That's who we should be looking after
For
in our society.
And, you know, linking it again to the politics of the day, you know, that's why people see, you know, when we have a look at, you know, migrant hotels, for example, and that's why people, they connect the two, they see the two, they compare and contrast, and they think, like, I live in a country that is completely unjust. And, you know, unless people see and hear stories like that and they see it on their street corners, etc., then that's the connection that the Labour Party and the government need to make. It's people see it and feel it.
And they need to know by you telling them and telling us today, so please do, if you can form a connection between all of that. And if you've got something to tell, something that maybe you've done and you want to share that with us, we'll keep you anonymous. Just let us know. Thanks, Oscar.
Thanks.
Now it's time for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Nimsa Bungay and I'm the pastor of Freedom's Ark, a member of the Evangelical Alliance here in the Tottenham Town Hall. And I want to welcome you to today's reflection. It's taken from John chapter 16, verse 20, where Jesus says, "Truly I say to you, that you shall weep and lament, the world will rejoice, and you will be sorrowful, but your sorrow will be turned into joy." The disciples were to suffer the pain of Good Friday, experience the relief of the resurrection. So as Jesus speaks of leaving, he promises them joy. So here's the promise. Sorrow doesn't stay. Jesus says it will be turned to joy. Not removed, transformed. Leclerc put it in this way: weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Not always instantly, but always faithfully. So what can we do as Christians? We let ourselves feel the sorrow, but we don't stop there. We look for moments of joy. Some of us may start our day by writing down one thing we're thankful for. And I pray that even as we grieve, that God teaches us to believe that joy is not gone forever, that we can hold on till the morning comes. Today, as we hold on to our hope, we hold on knowing this, that sorrow does not have the final say.
Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M90 Junction 4 southbound on and off slips are currently shut due to ongoing planned maintenance. Drivers should follow local diversions. On the M48 westbound, the stretch from Junction 1, Ost to Junction 2, Newhouse, is closed for maintenance work, with diversions set up. In Surrey, the M23 southbound has a broken down vehicle between Junction 8 and Junction 9. Consequently, one of 4 lanes is closed. Traffic is manageable and expected to clear soon. On the trains, Southern and Thameslink are operating on a reduced service on some routes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Give us a chance now to remind you about our current giveaway, and this is the biggest one we've had to date.
Yes, your chance to win a motorhome worth over £67,000 plus £5,000 in tax-free cash. It could all be yours. Here's how.
Great Britain is ready for you to explore this summer, and there's still plenty of time to grab this fabulous family motorhome. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, the Elnag Baron 560 comfortably sleeps 4, has integrated bathroom and kitchen spaces, and plenty of storage for all of the things you need to bring along on your next adventure. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that anywhere you visit in your brand new motorhome, is done in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Be like looking at winning a competition next, as we've got Dawn Newsroom and Christopher Biggins going through what is making the morning's news. Good morning, folks. And we'll be with them, enjoying what they have to say right after this.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
We have a very busy 20 minutes or so coming your way. We've got Dawn Newsroom and we've got Christopher Biggins, and they're going to be discussing stories in the papers. And guys, you may have noticed just before the break, we were to do an interview with a lady, a pensioner called Anita Atkinson. And Anita does a great thing. She's a volunteer for homelessness, so she helps people out there. But Anita, well, the thing is, you had no camera, your laptop was stolen or something. We don't know what happened to you. We don't know what was going on. But we're delighted to say we've got you back. And what I want to do is just briefly remind people of what you were supposed to be here for. And we're going to try desperately to get you back on later in the programme. Now, the thing is about this, Dawn Newsroom has just said to me she doesn't know of anybody your age who would shoplift You're basically saying it's not a priority for...
I respect that some people are obviously really suffering, and the winter fuel allowance was a terrible thing. However, I genuinely don't know any of my mum's generation, that war generation, that would actually go shoplifting.
Because they're proud.
They have too much pride. I just honestly don't think my mum would break the law. I think she would probably rather starve, to be honest with you.
No, I agree. I think it's absolutely that, because you know, it's what's happening to older people is terrible. But I think it's pushing the barrier too far to say. I mean, it's a clever thing to say, but I don't think it means anything.
OK, well, let's see what it does mean. Anita, you've heard those opinions, that maybe this is, like, almost unbelievable, what you're about to tell us. How bad is it, Anita? Tell me your experience.
Well, my experience on the street is of finding pensioners. Some of those pensioners are actually ex-military men that live on the street because they can't access the pension. And those people who I meet, I think they've got such a sense of their own pride that they would certainly not go into a shop and nick anything. But it's a national disgrace, really, having older people on. It's having any person on the street, but especially having older people on the street. It's fine in this weather, but it's absolutely freezing in winter. We give them clothes, we give them food, we give them everything that, well, not everything that they need, because what they need is a roof over their heads. But they're a hidden generation.
And you actually know people that are begging for food on the street, don't you?
Yes, yeah, lots of them. I mean, everyone that you meet on the street is begging for food, but we give them extra things.
But how many people who are in their 60s and their 70s are you talking about here?
Yeah, well, I cannot say an exact number, but I know the people I meet. I have to say that there are a lot of young people, there are a lot of people in midlife, but there are pensioners on the street. There are pensioners, they're there. They're mostly men, but you do get female pensioners on the street as well. And it really is a national disgrace. It really is.
And have you seen a rise since the winter fuel payments were cut? Do you think that's something that's really affecting elderly people in terms of not being able to put food on the table?
Well, no one's mentioned that because they can't access benefits, they can't access the pension. That's, you know, it's shocking. It's a national. It really is a disgrace to find these older people on the street.
It's awful that we're talking about it, Anita, and that you're having to talk about it today. But if we can find you a slot later on, can you come back and talk to us and just get the message out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
OK, good. Thank you very much. And congratulations on the work that you do, you know, volunteering for homeless people. But for the moment, thank you very much indeed. You see, that's the thing, Biggins. I mean, you know, just think of it, seriously. If you had to survive or cope now, you really had to, on the streets, could you imagine?
I can't imagine. I mean, and I suppose you could be pushed to do certain things that you probably normally wouldn't do.
Like
shoplifting, you know, because if
it's desperation, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. If you're hungry, and then you can't go to anybody. And also some people, especially old people, are too proud to go to these food banks. You know, I mean, it's a really unbelievable situation.
Get yourself toothpaste or something like that. Dawn, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it is terrible there are people in this situation. I do feel for them, but I do maintain that a lot of pensioners would rather go to a food bank, would rely on their families rather than go shoplifting.
Or go to jail.
Or probably go to jail, yeah, absolutely. Or go to France, get a boat back over and get in a nice hotel where they get the meals supplied. Just a thought, pensioners.
Thought for the day. Thank you very much. We'll take a short break. Back right after this.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
A monumental breakthrough. Scientists have revealed that they've found strong evidence of alien life. Just 124 light years away.
Which is quite far, isn't it? Astronomers from Cambridge University have detected signs of molecules that do indicate life, so we may not be alone after all.
Well, joining us now to explain what on earth this exciting story is, the astronomer and broadcaster Mark Thompson joins us. Mark, just how important is this discovery?
It's incredibly important. For so many years now, we've been looking for some signs that we're not alone in the universe. The universe is a massive place. It's often been said that there's more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on Earth. So, it's a big place. And to think that we're the only intelligent species in the entire cosmos is difficult to understand. And the discovery that's just been announced is that there's something called dimethyl sulfide, which is an element made of hydrogen, carbon and sulfur, which at the moment we think the only possible way that could be there is through some form of primitive living organisms.
So this is because it's a very complicated gas to sort of combine together. There's no way there could be some sort of volcano churning this stuff out. It has to be some sort of biological life form as the most likely explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. There are other elements, but this particular element, dimethyl sulfide, at the moment, the only process we know of that can produce it is life. Now, of course, we're still in early stages of this discovery, and we still need to do a lot of work to see if there's any other processes we can identify that can produce it. But for now, the only thing we know of is life, and so the only explanation therefore is that it's life, but it is still early days.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Spring showers are possible across many areas of the Mediterranean over the next few days. Some of those could be heavy at times, maybe with some hail, thunder and some strong gusts of wind. It will also be generally quite breezy around coastal districts, but further inland away from the showers there will be some drier conditions prevailing and sunny spells managing to poke their way through at times. And into the outlook period as well, we will still see some of those sunny spells to enjoy at times.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We've been having a very good conversation with Dawn and Christopher. Moving on to the BAFTAs, which were last night. I tell you what irritates me about the BAFTAs, Biggins. Loads of people there who shouldn't be there. Loads of people there I don't know. Loads of people. What are they? Are the BAFTAs, are they for hangers-on, or are they for whoever's going to get them the headlines?
They're for influencers. That's what they're there for.
It seems that way.
Yeah, it's terrible. And, you know, I watched it last night. It was very interesting. We were talking to Dawn earlier in the green room, is the fact that there were certain people who died that I had no idea had died in our business, because I missed that day that they died. So that was rather harrowing to see that. But, you know, what is interesting, so it says, you know, the headlines today, Mr. Bates delivers for the BAFTAs, which was great because it was a marvellous series. It did so much to help the post office, or rather hinder the post office, but help the people who work for the post office. And then all they're interested in is Maura braves the red carpet since last year because she's with a new boyfriend. That's nothing to do with the BAFTAs. BAFTAs is to do with the excellence of television. And it's suddenly become the glamour thing. You know, every paper today is full of women's legs and, you know, looking...
And more. You know, but what we're going to say there, yes, the excellence of production, the excellence of acting, and there, in that particular case, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, a social awareness. They're actually changing society, except they're not, because the government have done very little about all of this.
Exactly that. I mean, the ridiculous thing with that situation, Eamonn, is that it needed a drama to actually get people talking about this and get things
and interested in it and understanding
it. And get things being done, even though we know that it still hasn't been sorted out, and there are still postmasters who are suffering enormous problems because of this issue. So, yeah, that raised social awareness, but it raised the awareness that our governments of all colours, not even a political point, should have been sorting out in the first place.
There's the power of television.
It is, Ellie, but we shouldn't be in a situation where we need TV dramas, adolescence being another one, to dictate to politicians, you maybe should do something about this.
Why do we want to know about people not having, you know, being on the red carpet last year with someone different? Than this year, you know, and kissing someone else. I mean, that's not to do with the excellence of television. The television excellence is there, and it's wonderful.
And tell us, Dawn, I mean, fashion things. I mean, Ellie here or other female presenters in the morning, whatever I'd talk about, I'd say, we're not interested, we don't care what she was wearing. And you will often say to me, oh, we are, I want to see her, I want to see her family or whoever it is or whatever it is. And you think, I mean, I don't even know most of their names, never mind what they're wearing.
Yeah, I mean, Billie Piper's on the front page of the Daily Telegraph today, and she played a producer in the Prince Andrew drama, Scoops, and she wore that beautiful pink dress yesterday. She's on the front page of many of the papers this morning. I mean, obviously, twas ever was. The women and what they're wearing on the red carpet. So people are interested.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, the reason papers like the Daily Mail do it in the paper and online, there's loads and loads of pictures, the reason is because it sells. Newspapers only do things because it sells. So women, obviously, we know the Daily Mail in particular has a huge female readership. Women obviously like it. They buy the newspaper to look at those pictures. So if it ain't broke...
So do you think BAFTA say, let's get all these attractive women in? Because...
I think it's certainly encouraged at all awards ceremonies that young, beautiful women turn up wearing gorgeous frocks, going to get them on the front page of the Daily Mail.
It's part of it, isn't it?
Very sad.
It's interesting, though, who is perceived as a star these days. I think you can be perceived as a star with very little effort. I always read things, you know, television presenter, and then they put the name, and I go, and I would know most people in TV, and I go, who? Never heard of him. Never heard of him. Never heard. So who makes them a television presenter? What do you actually present? You know,
the bar is very low now, isn't it? As if you've gone on a reality TV show, you can call yourself anything.
But in the old days, you know, stars were stars. Betty Davis was a star. Joan Crawford. These people are now forgotten.
But I was watching yesterday afternoon a documentary on Sir John Mills. Now, whether you like John Mills or not, you can actually say he's a star, and his daughters are stars, and you've got a history that runs throughout the family and the DNA on that. But I think what used to be and what is, what's regarded now, two different things, too many.
Dawn, should we look at our story of the day, which is Labour's crackdown on immigration? What do you think of this? Do you think it's going to work?
This is becoming such a cliche now, but the devil is in the detail. This is the white paper being announced today. It's on the front page of all the papers today. And the Mail have gone for the line, no cap on migrants in Labour's crackdown, which is one of the sensible things that they have done, because as soon as you put a cap on migration, you are going to get torn apart because you will never be able to stick to it. So I completely agree with that. But basically, this is cracking down on foreign criminals and deporting them, and also on the qualifications and the amount of earnings that migrants to the UK have. Lots of questions on this, obviously. One of the things with the deporting of foreign criminals is back to their country of origin. What if they come from a country of origin that we can't deport them back to thanks to the Human Rights Act, i.e. Afghanistan, for example? We can't deport people back there. Where are they going to go? So, I mean, it's like, you know, there are so many questions, more questions than there are answers coming in this white paper.
A higher standard of English, though, is a good idea in terms of integration.
No, actually, it's a very, very good idea. I mean, how you're going to actually ensure that happens is another issue. And also the fact that companies are using and training more Indigenous Brits for jobs. I think that's a cracking idea. I think we do need to do that. And companies who don't do it should be published.
Just what you've said, I think companies are using and training more Indigenous Brits. Why have you actually to go to someone's door and knock the door and say, would you like a job? We could train you for
Well,
it.
no, you shouldn't. But, I mean, the fact that companies, you know, it gets around building firms, for example, going for cheap foreign labour when we have how many millions of people actually not in employment in this country who should be doing those jobs.
Of course. But I don't know, Biggins. I mean, you worked in an incredibly difficult environment for regular employment.
Yes.
And you've done very, very well doing that and sustaining yourself over the years. But there are lots of other jobs where you're guaranteed work, you know, I mean, whether you're a plumber or whether you're an electrician.
We should be encouraging that, though.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, I don't know why everybody wants to go to university.
Tony Blair.
Well, it's disgraceful.
Education. And whilst I've seen the benefits of education growing up in a very unfair Northern Ireland, and it does count, and lots of populations within the country see how it actually makes a difference being educated. But it's not the be-all and the end-all.
Well, if people learned a trade, they could become millionaires.
Yeah, and that's why I've got a shortage of skills in this country.
Absolutely.
Now,
why don't they teach us to trade? You know, it's
because the focus has been on higher education since Blair.
No, but so you could be in education, right? So you could be doing A-levels, whatever, and they'd be saying to you, right, you get a class once a week which is going to tell you how to trade, how to borrow money, how to get a mortgage, whatever it is.
Run a life, yeah.
It's almost as if I think they don't want us to know these things.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's the end of the day is that they don't want us to.
Yeah. But there was a great story over the weekend about the chap who runs Kurt Zeiger, the fashion chain, shoe chain, and he left school with one rubbish GCSE and is now multi-millionaire boss of this company. And he makes a point of employing kids who don't have degrees and gives them that opportunity. And all of them are thriving. And more importantly, they don't have, what, £50,000 worth of debt hanging around their ears going to university.
Yeah. Lots of the most successful entrepreneurs do not have high levels of education. No. I mean, Richard Branson is not a good example. Yeah, so maybe that's the way to go.
But what they do have is an enthusiasm, and
an ambition,
a hunger,
grit and hunger,
to do that. Though, having said that, when I look back at I wanted to be a journalist from when I was 10 years of age.
Oh dear, what happened?
I know, specifically, I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. But nobody believed me. It was just like, yeah, now shut up. Now, what do you really want to do?
Yeah.
And that was the attitude at school, family, people around you and whatever. And to the point that I thought, yeah, I better go and be a teacher, or I better go... Well, I ended up working for a year in Primark as a trainee manager.
Did you?
Did you really?
Oh, my God, you should read Eamonn Holmes' This Is My Life, autobiography, and then it's there. Yeah. I'll tell you, the worst thing is, when you as long as you had a receipt, you could get a refund on something. And so the girls on the till would ring the bell, ding, 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 and then, Mr. Holmes to the floor, please, Mr. Holmes to the floor. And bear in mind, I'm 18, right? And they go, Mr. Holmes, this woman says she wants a receipt for these underpants. And you go, yeah, she got a receipt. Yes. I said, what's the problem? And she'd say, well, she says these aren't worn.
Oh,
and I'd say,
disgusting.
And the problem is, and she said, did they look not worn?
Oh, no.
Hold that thought. We'll be back after that.
Oh,
my. Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Some of us are starting off the week with a bang because thunderstorms are in the forecast as this area of low pressure moves its way in from the south to provide a slightly more unsettled picture for some of us. We've already got areas of rain across western Scotland to kick off the day. This is heavy at times, so it will tend to ease off throughout the day. Outbreaks, though, lingering for parts of eastern Northern Ireland as well. It's really into this afternoon that we'll start to see those heavy, thundery downpours developing. Particular focus for them to spread across parts of London, through the Midlands, into areas of Wales, Cheshire region as well. Northern coast of the West Country could also see some heavy downpours at times. There will be hit and miss. Not everyone in these regions will see them, but where they do occur, some localised flooding is possible, so it's worth taking care. And if you do miss them, there will be some warm sunshine in play. Temperatures rising to the mid-20s across parts of Wales and England. 19-20 degrees Celsius possible through the central belt of Scotland as well. These showers will tend to ease off as we do move into the evening, sort of rumbling a little bit across parts of northwest England, southwest Scotland before eventually dying their way out. And many of us will then see a dry second half of the night with some clear spells. Some mist and fog will develop in places, pushing in across eastern coast at a time with that breeze coming in off the North Sea. But it will be relatively mild. Temperatures in the south particularly holding up in double-digit figures. Single figures more likely across areas to the north and the east. Well, away from some cloud across the far north coast of Scotland, it's likely to be a very bright, sunny morning for most of us on Tuesday. Again, there'll be some showers and thunderstorms cropping up, but this time much more limited to parts of South Wales and areas of the West Country. And many of us really will get away with a nice, fine, warm, dry day. Temperatures again peaking in the 20s, perhaps 25 degrees Celsius in the south and east. And the theme throughout the rest of this week is for the sunshine really to be prevailing, remaining dry for most of us with some warm conditions persisting.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M90 Junction 4 southbound on and off slips are closed due to roadworks. Motorists are advised to follow local diversion routes. The M48 westbound between Junction 1 at Ost and Junction 2 at Newhouse has maintenance work, closing the bridge with diversions in place. In Luton, the M1 southbound between Junction 11 and Junction 10 has a broken down vehicle obstructing one lane, impacting journey times. Surrey commuters face disruptions on the M3 westbound at Junction 3 due to debris closing one lane. On the trains, Southern and Thameslink services are reduced between East Grinstead and East Croydon. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com. Go to
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You could be the next big winner on the road in this brand new Alnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. Imagine the fun you could have in this luxurious home from home worth over £67,000. We'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash to make your next getaway a great one. And it could be all yours. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister declares Britain's experiment with open borders has failed.
Well, requirements in English language and an ECHR crackdown and a longer route to residency are amongst the government's tall orders.
But can Labour deliver the message to migrants that living in the UK is a privilege and not a right?
Change the law. The people of this nation did that, and they've shown in their response to the Post Office
that we cannot abide liars and bullies.
Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. That was at the BAFTAs TV Awards last night, and they won big, as well as Gavin and Stacey, Ruth Jones.
I'm not going to lie, this is immense. I wasn't expecting to win this, no way.
Yes, it was the biggest night in British television last night. Mr. Bates won big, but it wasn't great for the traitors. I'll have all the latest later in the show.
History in the making. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky offers to meet Russia's Vladimir Putin in person as soon as Thursday.
A crisis in pensioner poverty. We're talking about this today because there's an epidemic of elderly supermarket shoplifting since the Chancellor's cuts to winter fuel payments.
Almost half of us say we trust our partner with money matters more than anyone else. So we're asking this morning, should couples combine their finances? We're debating that in 20 minutes.
And from dad bod to abs and a six-pack. Don't miss our interview later with the man who went on a radical diet to transform his body in just 4 weeks. His wife didn't like it, though.
Thunder and lightning is in the forecast for some of us as we kick off this new week. I'll have all the details later and whether you're likely to see any.
But it can still be great weather, and thunder and lightning's caused by heat.
And pressure.
And pressure, under pressure. I'm Eamonn Holmes. Good morning to you.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Right, so what are folks saying this morning?
Lots of you getting in touch on pensioners shoplifting. Apparently there's been a huge rise. Jill says, perhaps the Chancellor should be given a challenge for 1 month to exist on the state pension, not just for her food, but for everything, all essentials.
But I think this, I mean, what is an essential? And you think toothpaste is an essential.
Soap.
Yeah, I mean, and you just come down to all these tiny things that you think, why would you need that? Why would you need that? And everything's essential.
You need a lot, yeah. Toilet roll,
a lot.
everything.
Yeah, an absolute lot. Adam, if you saw the mug shots of old people shoplifting, you would see it isn't sweet old ladies, but men in their mid-60s and early 70s who were doing the same thing since they were young. Well, I don't know about that. I think it's pathetic to see someone in their mid-60s or early 70s in that position. Yeah. Maria, this is a disgraceful situation for any elderly person to find themselves in. I would happily share my own shopping with anyone in that position.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you there, Maria. And Debbie says, I went shopping yesterday. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I used to pay £2.99 for a large bottle of shampoo, but today it was £5. Absolutely ridiculous. I needed it. I had to pay for it. But no wonder that people are stealing stuff. And that's the thing. If you've had your winter payments, your winter fuel payments cut, and then we've all seen inflation in the shops, haven't we? We all know that a basket of goods in the supermarket is so much more expensive than it used to be. If you combine those two things, well, it's no surprise then that some pensioners are having to steal to eat.
Shrinkflation
is another thing.
Shrinkflation is ridiculous. I don't know how companies get away with it. But like last night, French fancies, right?
Ooh, I haven't had one of those in years.
Well, I opened well, you wouldn't recognise it, would you? French fancy is honestly...
Like a fondant fancy thing.
It was about the size of an opal fruit. So it was yesterday. So I'm not sure if you have 6 or 8 in a box, but it actually was pathetic. It just wasn't funny. So tiny. And there you go, and that's what a French fancy...
Gone in one bite?
I could bring you back to the days when French fancies were so fanciable. They were full of cream and fondant fillings and sponge
I
and
fancy
whatever.
one now.
You fancy one now, yeah.
A pink one.
I like the pink. I like the...
Well, we couldn't share a box then, because we'd be after the same one.
What flavour is the brown one? Is it chocolate? It doesn't taste like chocolate.
Lemon, and then whatever the pink one is.
Lemon's nice. They're all nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go for the pink.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
You know what they say? Pink makes the girls wink.
Exactly.
Top story with the time at 7:05.
Yes, the government is unveiling its long-awaited white paper outlining how it plans to cut net migration.
Sir Keir Starmer will admit Britain's migration policy has failed and that radical change is needed to win back trust.
Well, the proposal will include things like a 10-year citizenship wait and a crackdown on foreign care workers.
The Home Office is billing it as a sweeping overhaul, but could be perceived as a cynical tactic to win back the red wall. Let's get the view of Oscar Reddrop this morning, political commentator. What do you think, Oscar?
I think cynical would be harsh, but I think it does come from desperation. I think a real shock to the system the local election results gave. I don't think Keir Starmer or the Labour Party quite realised the disquiet, the discontent, and actually kind of contempt that is out there in the country for this, how this Labour government has got off the ground. All goodwill has, that a new government would normally have, I think, has completely drained. Has been completely drained over the last 10 months or so. It's not even a year since they've been in power. However, some of the things they're looking at here are acknowledging, and I think when politicians say, we hear you, we see these local election results, we hear you, and we understand your priorities, they're talking around some of these priorities. I think prioritising, understanding English is something that Conservative Party have talked about for, probably decades. I think making ECHR challenges slightly, we're going to be more kind of aggressive on that front, is in the right ballpark, but I think if he really talks about the drastic action that he's needed, and that's what he's due to talk about in his speech today, then you want to leave the ECHR.
But the Tories aren't even saying that anymore.
Well, but the Tories, look, if you're hanging your hat on the Tories at this moment in time, you're going to be disappointed. The Tories are just getting their ideas together, tail between their legs. The problem is, the message might be decent, and this is the unfair thing about politics sometimes, but the messenger has zero credibility. Keir Starmer has zero credibility on this.
You went through a few policy areas there, that have been debated for years. Not just 5 years, 10 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. Like, for instance, I'll just pick one, integration. Why communities should be integrated and why language is so important. And you would have been practically put in jail for saying it's ridiculous, people live in this whole area and they can't speak English.
Well, that's how things have changed. But that has taken time for politicians to register that actually that's not a controversial thing to say. Integration is completely it's necessity for a harmonious society, and just think it's taken,
and to get work.
And yeah, exactly. And it's for politicians to have taken that long to kind of clock and understand that is crazy. But sorry, Ellie.
What do you make of the fact that this white paper does not contain a cap on numbers? Is that sensible? Or do you think, how can you be judged then on how successful it is?
You can look at that two ways. You could say, well, the Tories and, various governments over the years have had caps and never, ever, ever, ever hit them. And as a result, what do they look like? They look incompetent, they overpromise and they underdeliver. You could say it's quite clever that the Labour government are not putting a cap on it because they don't want to disappoint the electorate on immigration yet again. But if they hear the message from the local election, which is that we hate this Labour government and we don't trust you guys at all, then you're going to need to... It's going to take more drastic action on the number one issue in this country than we're seeing today. You hear about reform talking about deportation ministers.
To be fair, deportations are up under this government.
Yeah, that is fair, but the base, and it pains me to say it from a Conservative standpoint, was shockingly low towards the end. But it's going to take more than that. And his critics will say, how can you get rid of something like Rwanda or some form of deterrent? And we see, the migrant crossings going up and up and up and up. That is going up since the Labour Party took over. And that's something that people see. And if Keir Starmer can't understand that is a real priority area to have a strong deterrent, that you probably do need to take drastic action. And just park your tanks on the lawn, because it's what people like Reform are saying in terms of leaving the ECHR. If you truly want to wear their clothing and render them a little bit more obsolete, then that's how committed to this you should be. But it doesn't sit comfortably with the Labour Party. It just doesn't.
And you can't sit comfortably either because we're out of time with you, Oscar. Really always appreciate your take on things. Thank you very much indeed for getting folk talking about that this morning. It is exactly 10 minutes past 7. A very good morning to you. And we're going to look back at last night, the biggest night for British television, TV's finest. descended on London's Royal Festival Hall for the 2025 BAFTA Television Awards. It's funny, I'm just laughing at TV's Finest because you go, what TV programme are you in? Oh, and you? They're not in any programmes, but they're there.
There were lots there just for the party, off the red carpet. Well, ITV's Mr Bates versus the Post Office scooped Best Limited Drama, while Danny Dyer won Best Actor in a Comedy for Mr Big Stuff.
Well, I didn't see Danny in Mr Big Stuff, but here is our entertainment editor who was there last night, and Alex Davis. What was Danny Dyer's programme like? What was that based on? Or what?
It's really good. So it's written by a guy called Ryan Sampson, who is in Brassic, which is another Sky comedy at the moment, about a brother, and they're estranged. Danny Dyer's is a bit of a loose cannon, shall we say, and Ryan Sampson's character isn't. And they just sort of reconnect over the years, and it's all the sort of hijinks that those two get into. It was really... I actually quite enjoyed seeing Danny Dyer winning last night. We can actually hear what he's had to say after he won the award as well.
Danny Dyer, Mr Big Stuff.
I'd like to dedicate this to Ryan Sampson. One of the greatest things to come out of Rotherham, and it's not saying much, but one of the best actors this country's ever produced, I'm telling you. Never done the same thing twice, which is not something I can say.
So that was Danny Dyer's. And I know you've said about the people who turned up on the red carpet and things that you may not recognise. One big face was Alan Cumming, who was the host for last year. In my personal opinion, very mixed bag, and I think the reaction from what I've seen online is exactly the same. This is a man who... A lot of people pointed out that this was a man who voted for Scottish independence, and he's hosting a British TV award ceremony, so there was a bit of a contentious issue there. He also just didn't quite hit things... didn't hit the right note in his opening monologue. He dropped a joke about Daniel Mays, who was in Line of Duty, and a load of other things that fell a bit flat, and I think we can watch a bit of that now.
I am honoured to be in a room so full of TV talent, like the amazing Daniel Mays, who is nominated tonight. How do you feel, Daniel? I'm not nominated, Alan. Oh, you're not nominated?
No.
Well, have you ever been nominated?
Yes, back in 2017.
2017? Oh, that's a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Right. Well, awards mean nothing. We can cut this bit out, right? I'll just go back a little bit. Yeah, OK. I'm honoured to be in a room so full of TV talent.
That does fall flat, doesn't it?
You may have noticed as well, after he says the awards mean nothing thing, it goes straight to laughter, and that's because actually it was a bit of an awkward silence. It wasn't
canned laughter, was it?
It was very canned. I don't want to accuse the BBC of heavily editing, but I was there and it didn't get that reception.
Well, the thing about Alan is that one day I was looking through Instagram, and he pops with his dog. And it was incredible because my dog is an adopted dog, right, from a dog shelter, and so was his. I swear they were like twins, these two dogs. And
Maybe they were.
I'd love to get in touch with them. I'd love to say, where did you get your dog from? How old is she? Could it possibly be that they're related?
Same litter.
Oh, I don't want to lay into him too much now. We're going to read.
Because they'll be related.
Yeah.
Remember, folks, adopt, don't shop.
Yes.
That's all you need to know about the doggies.
Should we talk about Mr Bates?
We can talk about Mr Bates, yes. Mr Bates won for Best Limited Drama.
It's a quality production.
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean,
pioneering production, you know.
The thing is that, like, BAFTA only takes into account, basically, from the beginning of 2024 to the end of 2024, and Mr Bates came out very early last year. So I feel like some of the gloss may have left a little bit. We may have forgotten just how impactful it was. But it really did, you know, they were talking about it in Parliament. It really made a difference. And they made a very clear point last night that these people still need their money. They still want their money. They deserve their money. And it's such a shame that it takes a drama like this.
Yeah, to raise the political flag on this one.
Just before we go, we can actually hear from them now as well.
And this story only had the impact it did because the people who watched it stood up as one and demanded action with such rage that the government had no choice but to respond. Our show didn't change the law. The people of this nation did that, and they've shown in their response to the Post Office that we cannot abide liars and bullies.
Well, I bet you everybody associated with it feels very, very proud about social change brought about by their work.
In the winners' press conference last night, one of the crew members, it's sort of bittersweet because he sort of called on all the journalists. He said, this is your turn now. Everybody here needs to be shouting about this still.
Keep the pressure up.
Even though the drama was over a year ago, it's won the BAFTA, we need to keep shouting about this issue from the rooftops and really get that change for these sub-postmasters.
OK, well, you'll have lots more to shout about when we have you back again. But for the moment, mate, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Alex. Now, 7:15, let's get a check on the weather with Jonathan Vaughtry.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Some of us are starting off the week with a bang because thunderstorms are in the forecast as this area of low pressure moves its way in from the south to provide a slightly more unsettled picture for some of us. We've already got areas of rain across western Scotland to kick off the day. This is heavy at times, so it will tend to ease off throughout the day. Outbreaks, though, lingering for parts of eastern Northern Ireland as well. It's really into this afternoon that we'll start to see those heavy, thundery downpours developing. Particular focus for them to spread across parts of London, through the Midlands, into areas of Wales, Cheshire region as well. Northern coast of the West Country could also see some heavy downpours at times. There will be hit and miss. Not everyone in these regions will see them, but where they do occur, some localised flooding is possible, so it's worth taking care. And if you do miss them, there will be some warm sunshine in play. Temperatures rising to the mid-20s across parts of Wales and England. 19-20 degrees Celsius possible through the central belt of Scotland as well. These showers will tend to ease off as we do move into the evening, sort of rumbling a little bit across parts of northwest England, southwest Scotland before eventually dying their way out. And many of us will then see a dry second half of the night with some clear spells. Some mist and fog will develop in places, pushing in across eastern coast at a time with that breeze coming in off the North Sea. But it will be relatively mild. Temperatures in the south particularly holding up in double-digit figures. Single figures more likely across areas to the north and the east. But away from some cloud across the far north coast of Scotland, it's likely to be a very bright, sunny morning for most of us on Tuesday. Again, there'll be some showers and thunderstorms cropping up, but this time much more limited to parts of South Wales and areas of the West Country. And many of us really will get away with a nice, fine, warm, dry day. Temperatures again peaking in the 20s, perhaps 25 degrees Celsius in the south and east. And the theme throughout the rest of this week is for the sunshine really to be prevailing, remaining dry for most of us with some warm conditions persisting.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Well, you won't need a boiler if you're in our motorhome giveaway. It's worth over £67,000. There's £5,000 in cash on top of all of that one. And here's how it could be yours.
Great Britain is ready for you to explore this summer, and there's still plenty of time to grab this fabulous family motorhome. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, the Elnag Baron 560 comfortably sleeps 4, has integrated bathroom and kitchen spaces, and plenty of storage for all of the things you'd need to bring along on your next adventure. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that anywhere you visit in your brand new motorhome is done in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, the Prime Minister will announce Labour's major overhaul of the migration system today.
But first, do you think it's a good idea for spouses or partners to continue to combine their finances? We're debating that next.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Lots of you getting in touch on this shocking uplift of pensioners who are shoplifting in order to eat. Jackie's been in touch saying, hi, I'm 75 and I have to pay full rent and council tax as well as all of my other expenses. I only have £176 a week, but I would never, ever steal. That's what Dawn Neeson was talking about earlier, as the pride of that generation. They'd rather go hungry than steal. Luke says, I agree with Ellie. I would let pensioners steal because of the saying goes, respect your elders. I don't think this current government respects the elderly in any way, shape or form.
Callum points out that it's getting rid of cash increases the price of everything because banks just make money out of a situation that just involves cards, for instance. Eileen's talking about the Mr Bates versus the Post Office drama. Great, she says, that it picked up an award. Excellent for all involved. Unfortunately, the victims have at best received an interim payment, which is very true, Eileen, by way of compensation, and some people died before they were exonerated. So it's important, again, that we highlight that and that we embarrass these authorities into actually doing something about it.
Yeah, we keep the pressure up. That's really important. Well, do keep your views coming in on any of the stories that we're talking about today, gbnews.com/yoursay. And you're going to have a view on this one as well.
Well, you know, a lot of people have an opinion about me sitting using my phone here in the morning. This is not my phone. This is my computer. This is everything's on this. Every news channel we want, every bit of information we want, anything you want is on this. And I find it strange that you have to sit with your computer to be recognised that actually you are doing just that, working that and using that. So for those of you who are a bit annoyed at me using my phone, tough, because it's going to stay that way. Thank you. Indeed. About half of people trust their partner with their money. Where do you stand on this, Ellie? What do you think about this?
Oh, my partner's very good with money.
Yeah.
And I'm rubbish with money.
What's his is yours.
Yes, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But he is the accountant in the family.
Wait.
He has to be.
Is
but
he
he's
an
not
accountant?
actually an accountant by trade, but he is in the family.
Yeah.
So he likes to set aside our spending and our saving and our wedding pot and everything. And I need that, actually.
Well, all I need is an accountant or bookkeeper or whatever it is, because you sort of think, I do what I do, you tell me what to do with everything else. But unfortunately, you can't always trust those people to be up to scratch.
So maybe a partner is who you would trust better than an accountant.
That would be good. That would be really, really good. So when it goes wrong, is it a recipe for disaster, or is it a good way to maximise your money and make it go somewhat further?
Well, to debate this now, we're joined by broadcaster Sarah Louise Robertson. And where do you stand on this one, Sarah Louise?
Hi there, Ellie and Eamonn. Nice to see you this morning on this sunny morning. On this one, I think it is vitally important that in a cohabiting relationship or marriage, that couples do have their own individual bank accounts. You can have a shared account for bills, household bills, groceries, whereby you agree, you know, whoever puts more in, or you put the same in, depending on who earns the most. But it is so vital to have your own individual account, be it a savings account or a current account, checking account. To have financial freedom is so important. Who doesn't have money? Who doesn't have bank cards? Children. So why would you, as an adult, want to give away your chance to have control of your finances? As I say, you can have a shared one for the house, for bills, if you're saving like you are, Ellie, towards a wedding or a honeymoon or whatever that might be, where you have a common goal that you're saving both towards. That's absolutely fine. But in terms of your everyday financial freedom, you must have independence. And it's not about who earns more as well in the relationship, just especially for women. It's so important to have something that is yours. Yeah. And that you have it there. You never know what is coming around the corner. And we've seen as well, we're learning more now, aren't we, about coercive control in relationships and in issues like that. And you have to think about that as well. You know, if a woman or a man is in a situation and they need to get away.
OK, Sarah Louise, we've got someone to put an opposite opinion to what you're actually talking about. Who have we got, Ellie?
This is Nadia Essex, who is a dating expert. What's your view on this one, Nadia? So Sarah Louise is saying that, especially for women, it's really important that you remain independent when it comes to your finances. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, she makes great points. Obviously, you know, with the learning about coercive control, it's really important that we recognise the signs. But I think if you're going to marry someone, it's good to be part of the team. And I think you can have financial independence in other ways. For example, you can have stocks and shares, you can have money in your own ISAs, you can have plenty of other ways to keep a financial independence. But God forbid, if one of you in the relationship passes away, it is so difficult to get access to those funds. So if the man, for example, is the one that pays all the bills and everything's coming out of his account, and you can't, and he passes away and you can't have access to it, everything bounces and you're not paying your bills, and then you're left even worse off. So I think it's important that, you know, you sign up to marriage as a team, be a team.
Sarah Louise, what do you say to that?
Well, I mean, of course you can be a team in other areas of your marriage, but I mean, just going back to what you're saying there, Nadia, yes, if one person passes away and you don't have access to that account, it's crazy. So you need to have your own money. You have to have something yourself, that you have your own independence and financial freedom. And this idea as well of trust in a relationship and privacy issues. The thought of not being able to just freely go and spend your money on what you want, that you would have to justify it to a partner. Oh, makes me shudder. I couldn't think of anything worse, you know? And it's the same for the other half. What they do with their money, it's theirs to do what they want with. You know, you can have trust without pouring over someone's finances.
What way would you divide that, Sarah Louise?
Or you did that.
What way would you divide that? Do you have your account, his account, joint account?
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's the most sensible, obvious way to do it. As I said, who doesn't have access to bank accounts? Children. You're not a child. You are a responsible adult. You need to have your own financial freedom and manage your own financial affairs. And what they spend their money on, that's up to them. Also, the other thing about having one joint account, what if one person is a crazy spender and you end up in debt? And then you're left with nothing anyway. So I think really for women, especially for women in a relationship, and it doesn't matter how rosy everything is, there's always that slight chance that things could go wrong. And I've seen it with friends who have had everything combined and they've been left up the proverbial, you know what, creek without a paddle. Yeah. So,
guys, gotta love you, leave you. It's a very busy morning for us. We've got guests coming in right, left and centre. But for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Let us know what you think about dividing your finances as well. Right, we'll take a break. We're back right after this.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Currently, maintenance work is causing a full closure of the M48 westbound bridge between Junction Ost and Junction Newhouse with diversions set up. Leeds faces some delays on the M62 due to a broken down vehicle near Junction 27, leading to one of 3 lanes being blocked. Expect delays of about 20 minutes there. In Surrey, the M23 northbound has 1 lane closed between Junction 9 and Junction 8 because of a broken down vehicle. And on the trains, southern services are reduced between Uckfield, East Grinstead and East Croydon. Plus, Thameslink services are similarly affected between East Grinstead and East Croydon. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 7:34. We're going to go through the papers shortly, but first let's talk to Shadow Minister for Crime, Policing and Fire, Matt Vickers, who joins us now. Morning to you, Mr. Vickers.
Good morning, Ellie.
Morning. Look, let's have a look at what the government is going to set out today. Their proposal to tackle net migration, including closing ECHR loopholes, a 10-year wait for citizenship and a higher standard of English for migrants. Surely this is something you're really going to welcome?
Well, we saw lots of progress on that front, but today is a smokescreen. When you're involved in politics, you sometimes get a little bit cynical about the way the world works. And today is one of those days. This afternoon we're going to be voting on the Borders Bill in there, so there's a bit of an announcement this morning, but it's a bit of a smokescreen. It covers what's going on in there this afternoon and seems to blow the press off the scent, because actually the bill that's going through there this afternoon is going to allow illegal immigrants to become British citizens. It's going to remove our ability to force illegal migrants to undergo age verification. Yeah, we're going to end up with 30-year-olds in classrooms with 13-year-olds, but actually as part of the passage of that bill, we had Labour MPs vote. We forced them to vote on the idea that if you come to this country and you commit a crime, you should be removed. Not have to wait for you to get a sentence of 12 months, but be removed by virtue of the fact you're a criminal. We also said in there that we were going to disapply entirely the Human Rights Act when it comes to cases involving immigration and deportation. No more chicken nugget gate. No more people saying they can't be deported because they'll face hostility for being a paedophile in their own country. They should face it here. They should be sent back. This is a smokescreen. It's a cover story that blows the press off the scent and stops them holding the government to account for what it is they're actually doing to this country's laws today.
So whatever they're saying about migration, you don't think they'll get a handle on this at all?
You look at Keir Starmer. This is a man who in the last couple of years has voted against every single measure brought forward to toughen up our immigration system. This is a man who campaigned to see foreign criminals left in this country and prevent them being deported. We were sending people away on planes and he was out there campaigning against it. Madness to think this is the man who's going to sort out the immigration system in the UK.
But you couldn't sort it out either, could you? I mean, you had a Rwanda scheme that quite literally didn't get off the ground. You had net migration figures at almost 1 million under the Tories.
Well, do you know what? It's a very good point. I didn't sort it out because I wasn't in office, but the reality is that Kemi has said previous governments let the side down. Immigration was way too high. Kemi wasn't the leader. I wasn't a minister in that government. We've put forward a proper plan that says about, deporting foreign criminals, says about disapplying that Human Rights Act. That means these things get caught up in the courts for years, weeks, months, years. We put forward a plan, we put forward a proposal. We're in there arguing the toss as these bills go forwards. The reality is that towards the end of the last government, the number of people coming in across the channel was going down. The number of people staying in hotels was going down. We were deporting more people who were arriving by a small boat. Actually, if you look at what's happened since this government came to office, the number of people arriving in this country illegally is up 41%. The number staying in hotels, it was going down before this government came to office. It's now gone up by 28%. Thousands more people staying in these hotels, thousands more people are in fact record numbers now arriving in the country, and of those arriving illegally, less of them are being removed.
But then deportations are up to their highest level since 2018, so I suppose it depends on what numbers you're looking at. Where does this leave you as a party now? Because you've got the Labour Party who are wearing Tory clothing now, talking about closing ECHR loopholes and talking about 10-year wait for citizenship and higher standard of English. Then you've got Reform and their fantastic success at the local elections last week. I mean, where does this leave you? Does it render you obsolete?
The reality is, we were saying about, I'm going to go back quickly on those deportations. The reality is that of the people arriving in this country illegally, they are removing less of them. So more are coming in, less are being removed. And the people who are being removed through things like the Albania agreement that was put in place by the last government. But in terms of our outlook, in terms of our way forwards, we've listened to what the British public have told us. We've listened to the views on this. I'm out there on the doorsteps every weekend engaging with people. We've put forward a plan. Our plan is that you will be deported if you commit a crime in this country. We'll disapply the Human Rights Act. All of the things that people say in there become irrelevant unless we disapply the Human Rights Act when it comes to immigration and deportation. Well, the laws of the land should be made in there, not by judges who decide the laws of the land by interpreting these things in the most creative way possible.
But Matt, your Labour counterparts know all of this already. They knew this before the council elections. They could tell what was going down well or what wasn't going down well. People didn't like the winter fuel allowance. They didn't like the increase in pension payments, national insurance that were being asked for. What I don't understand is why are they coming up with all this raft of proposals which could have avoided them the really serious defeat that they had at the local government elections?
Well, exactly. Some people would be very cynical about that and said it might be a a response. I'd say it's actually a smokescreen to what we're voting on in there. They're saying one thing to the press, and the press are producing very lovely headlines, but actually what's going on in there, look at what's going on in that bill. They voted against the deportation of foreign criminals. They voted against disapplying the Human Rights Act in these cases. They're about to remove the ability of this country to age verify, use the latest scientific equipment to age verify people who come to this country. Do you know what it means when you let a 30-year-old into the care system alongside children, when you let them sit in a classroom alongside children in schools? That's utterly ridiculous. Those are the stories that we should be covering. Those are the questions we should be asking. And you said people were unhappy about the winter fuel tax, the winter fuel payment being removed. They were bloody furious, actually, in my part of the world, because these are the most vulnerable people. These are elderly people, they're widows, they're people who are really struggling to make ends meet. And the government has ripped 300 quid from their hands at the same time as giving train drivers on 50k a 10 grand pay rise. It's madness.
Well, you couldn't make it up.
On that note, Mr. Vickers, just before we let you go, I know we are almost out of time, but just because you've mentioned that, we've been talking today about this shocking story, food retailers talking about this massive increase in pensioners who are shoplifting, and they are citing the cost of living and the cuts in winter fuel payments. Just wanted to get your reaction to that story.
Well, it's horrifying if we think that that's the situation that people are being put in. But the tax, the national insurance increase is harming everybody. We talked about the price in the shops. The prices are going up. Then it's fuelled by this jobs tax. We talked about the care system. I speak to people who run care homes in my patch. There's already been a huge challenge. Paying the people who do that incredible work in the care system is a huge challenge. This jobs tax is making that so much worse. It's making it harder for people to pay people a decent wage. It's making it harder for companies to actually be sustainable and survive in the current economic climate. And then we won't even go on to all the net zero balminess.
OK, Matt Vickers, we'll leave it there. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for giving us a window on the world, because we now see the weather looks half decent and we can go to our weatherman to find out exactly what it is. And then we're back with Dawn and Christopher right after this.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Spring showers are possible across many areas of the Mediterranean over the next few days. Some of those could be heavy at times, maybe with some hail, thunder and some strong gusts of wind. It will also be generally quite breezy around coastal districts, but further inland away from the showers there will be some drier conditions prevailing and sunny spells managing to poke their way through at times. And into the outlook period as well, we will still see some of those sunny spells to enjoy at times.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Well, what happened was the Queen didn't strip Harry and Meghan of their HRH titles, because that would have been unnecessarily unkind. But she asked them, please do not use these. You keep them, but don't use them. And what she meant by that was don't use them in any public way whatsoever. So do not, have your luggage labels HRH, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and don't have your writing paper. They have their coat of arms. They are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but not with the HRH. I think that Meghan is very lucky to still have hers.
Yeah, well, in a lot of ways she is, absolutely. But it doesn't seem to be any self-awareness, does there, with this podcast? It's all about woe betide me. It was all so difficult. We were in the trenches after we got married. And if we all cast our minds back to that spectacular day where they had everything in front of them, the world was watching, the world was celebrating, everyone was on Team Meghan and Harry. But it's only now that she's in California living her best life that she's able to have her honeymoon, apparently. What do you make of it, Ingrid?
I can't believe she could say such crazy things. I mean, if she wants to maintain some semblance of popularity, she's got to be a little bit more humble. And what she could have easily said, the wedding was absolutely stupendous and it was wonderful and the British people were so welcoming, but sadly it didn't work out. I mean, it wouldn't be difficult to say that, even if she didn't mean it. I just think that she is sometimes remarkably stupid.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
We're going through the papers with Dawn Neeson and Christopher Biggins. Morning, you two.
Morning. One question of the morning came from Biggins during the commercial break, and we're talking about policy at school or whatever, and he said, who works these things out? Who decides on these things? And the thing that we're deciding on, Dawn, are curriculum lessons in what?
Masculinity.
What is masculinity?
Well, that's the very first question I would ask.
Mm-hmm.
What is masculinity? What does it mean these days? This is a top private school, Suffolk's Royal Hospital School, is running 90-minute sessions to help families talk to their sons about masculinity. Now, we've all seen Adolescence, because the government told us to, didn't they? Which was a story about toxic...
I haven't watched it.
I know, because you ignore the government rather sensibly.
Yeah.
But toxic masculinity and about online pressures on young men, and young men maybe not having the role models they should have in their lives these days. So I'm assuming that's what this is about. It's come from that. But why should a school be teaching it? Surely parents...
Parents, yeah.
It's a parent's responsibility to bring their sons up in particular.
Yeah, but there are a lot of parents. There are parents who do and parents who don't.
I know.
And that is the difficulty. You can't rely that because you teach your child how to use a knife and fork or a spoon or toilet roll or whatever, that everyone in the class knows exactly how to do the same. And that's the depressing thing.
And I don't think a lot of parents are actually aware of the toxic influence of the likes of Andrew Tate. I don't think they're aware of that.
No, you're probably right. I mean, this school charges £46,275 a year for boarding schools. And it says this has been set up to counter the likes of Andrew Tate online. And it's like we have to get this message across, but the fact it's down to schools these days to do that.
The masculinity, I mean, it's a very bizarre sort of topic. I mean, are they saying that that nowadays boys are too gay, too camp? You know, are they trying to say that you must be a man, you must slap your thigh?
But there's different types of men. I mean, I suppose...
Thank goodness.
I suppose, yeah, that's my point. And the thing is, I mean, you and I are probably different types of men, but we're the best of friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would totally respect your masculinity, and you might see that masculinity is a bit different. And but I don't know what we're supposed to be looking for.
How can you teach it? I mean, it's impossible to say, you know, this is what you should be. Let people be what they are.
I think this particular issue is with misogyny and younger men. I mean, not used to, obviously, you're a different generation, but younger men's attitude towards women and girls.
Yeah.
And you've seen it reported in schools now. Young boys, I mean, 10-year-olds, treating female teachers and female pupils with contempt.
Yeah.
And you know, threatening to a 10-year-old, threatening to rape another 10-year-old. Probably doesn't even understand what the word means. But
you two wouldn't need lessons because you are respectful towards women.
But also, when I think
which most
back
people
to,
exactly.
I mean, I'm one of five many brothers. Yeah, I'm one of five of us. There's 5 of us in total, and we're all boys. And Mum was the only woman, then my dad, and then Mum was the only woman in the household. But she was the boss, right?
The matriarch.
I went to school. I can honestly say to you, the most influential school teachers I had were all women. Or those are the ones that I was closest to. So what are you looking for? I came to England. my agent was a woman, a very strong woman, and you go through life and you think key figures, and I don't ever look at them as, oh, you're feminine, I'm masculine. They're either good at their job or they're not good at their job.
And it doesn't come into it what sex they are.
For me, women are the most important thing in my life as a gay man. I mean, women I look up to, I'm influenced by, I adore women.
I adore women too. I agree with you. I don't really get the idea why I wouldn't want to be in female company.
No.
I prefer standing in a bar with 4 women around me than 4 men.
And me. And me. I mean, really, it's
but then
much
we like
more
to laugh.
interesting.
The thing is, I mean, there's a lot about where we laugh.
Yeah, exactly. We enjoy life.
Well, you two don't need these lessons, but I think there are lots of people who are misogynistic and
I think,
that's very sad.
Because you two grew up before social media, and I think it has a vast influence.
In a way, Dawn, and this is not in any way meant to be disrespectful to you, but you're cool with your masculinity as well. I mean, you can hold your own on certain things. I mean, say football's a good example. I could stand and talk to you about football. I couldn't talk to Biggins about football.
No.
So the sex is nothing.
No, absolutely. It depends. I mean, obviously, you know, some people are more masculine, both sexes, than others. But this boils down to respect between the sexes. I mean, it used to have, you know, enormous respect for the women in your lives and women in general. So many young men, I think, are lacking that these days, and I don't know what you do about it. So fair play to this school. Maybe it's something they can do and they feel like they should be doing it.
But you mentioned earlier about it's the fault of the parents. But, you know, when I was growing up, I never, ever discussed my sexuality with my parents. It was never...
Good thing or bad thing when you look back on it?
I think it was a good thing because, you know, they came and stayed with me and lived... and said when I was with a boyfriend or had a partner...
So they knew, but they didn't say.
You didn't talk about
They
it.
must have known, unless they were... No, they weren't stupid. They must have known.
Yeah.
And they accepted it. But it was never discussed. You know, it was never said, oh, you know, should you be doing this, should we not be doing... I mean, it was just that was what we did.
But you know what? I think that actually reflects this story. What this story is about is people are worried to have those conversations, like your parents are worried to have that conversation with you about your sexuality.
Yeah.
Maybe parents are skirting around this issue about what toxic masculinity is and your attitude to women and girls. Maybe parents are still that generation, you know, the younger generation, are not even talking about it now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the same thing.
Biggins, let's take a look at a different story, shall we? Should we look at weight loss jabs? And they could have another benefit.
Well, I'm on a weight jab.
Are you?
Yeah,
How are
and
you finding
it's great. It's really good. I mean, unfortunately, you really do. It cuts your appetite enormously. And so, like, for last night, for instance, Nina and I were having, after the awards, I'm watching on television, we decided to have some chicken Kiev. And we shared one, and I only ate a quarter of that. And Neil said, why did you eat? And I said, because of this drug. You know, and it works brilliantly. And I have lost quite a lot of weight. And it's good. And if it does help with cancer, that is fantastic.
And another benefit, a lot of people will say, of course, you read the scare stories all the time that your bone density is not as good and certain things happen. But the long and the short of it is, you find yourself feeling that I am healthier because I'm lighter, I'm not puffing and wheezing.
Exactly.
And there are benefits that you see and they would outweigh the...
Exactly. I mean, I had a new knee put in 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's definitely helping me walk better.
Oh, wow.
You know, because you don't have that weight on the knee, you know, anymore. I mean,
Do you miss sitting down in front of a Sunday roast or whatever and think, you like the look of it, but after 2 mouthfuls, it's done?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because there's joy in eating as well, isn't
There's
there?
a lot of joy in eating. I mean, it is one of the most wonderful things ever to sit down and have a good meal. And I find, funnily enough, as I'm getting older, that I've gone off steak.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't... I find it too much.
Interesting, and we haven't got time to talk about it, but I know how you're feeling about that one. There's things that haven't gone off, but there's things that have gone off as well. Jonathan Vautry, we haven't gone off him. He's got your weather picture, and we'll be back with these two guys in about 45 minutes.
Thank you.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Some of us are starting off the week with a bang because thunderstorms are in the forecast as this area of low pressure moves its way in from the south to provide a slightly more unsettled picture for some of us. We've already got areas of rain across western Scotland to kick off the day. This is heavy at times, so it will tend to ease off throughout the day. Outbreaks, though, lingering for parts of eastern Northern Ireland as well. It's really into this afternoon that we'll start to see those heavy, thundery downpours developing. Particular focus for them to spread across parts of London, through the Midlands, into areas of Wales, Cheshire region as well. Northern coast of the West Country could also see some heavy downpours at times. There will be hit and miss. Not everyone in these regions will see them, but where they do occur, some localised flooding is possible, so it's worth taking care. And if you do miss them, there will be some warm sunshine in play. Temperatures rising to the mid-20s across parts of Wales and England. 19-20 degrees Celsius possible through the central belt of Scotland as well. These showers will tend to ease off as we do move into the evening, sort of rumbling a little bit across parts of northwest England, southwest Scotland before eventually dying their way out. And many of us will then see a dry second half of the night with some clear spells. Some mist and fog will develop in places, pushing in across eastern coast at a time with that breeze coming in off the North Sea. But it will be relatively mild. Temperatures in the south particularly holding up in double-digit figures. Single figures more likely across areas to the north and the east. But away from some cloud across the far north coast of Scotland, it's likely to be a very bright, sunny morning for most of us on Tuesday. Again, there'll be some showers and thunderstorms cropping up, but this time much more limited to parts of South Wales and areas of the West Country. And many of us really will get away with a nice, fine, warm, dry day. Temperatures again peaking in the 20s, perhaps 25 degrees Celsius in the south and east. And the theme throughout the rest of this week is for the sunshine really to be prevailing, remaining dry for most of us with some warm conditions persisting.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M48 westbound is closed between Junction 1 Ost and Junction 2 Newhouse due to planned maintenance. Diversions are in place to ease travel. On the M62 westbound near Leeds, a broken down vehicle at Junction 27 is causing congestion with an additional travel time of 50 minutes. In Worcestershire, the M5 southbound between Junction 7 and Junction 8 faces a road traffic incident with one of 3 lanes closed. Travellers should expect delays as crews clear the area. On the trains, Southern and Thameslink services are reduced between Uckfield, East Grinstead and East Croydon. Stay updated and plan your journey accordingly. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness. That's wonderful. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GB News.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it.
Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 PM every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 PM and 5 AM as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister is to declare that Britain's experiment with open borders has failed.
New English language requirements and ECHR crackdown as a longer route to residency are amongst the government's tall orders.
But can Labour deliver the message to migrants that living in the UK is a privilege and not a right? Well, earlier we spoke to Shadow Minister for Crime, Policing and Fire, Matt Vickers.
Bill that's going through there this afternoon is going to allow illegal immigrants to become British citizens. It's going to remove our ability to force illegal migrants to undergo age verification. Yeah, we're going to end up with 30-year-olds in classrooms with 13-year-olds.
BAFTA awards last night and they went down with a bang.
I'm not going to lie, this is immense.
Gavin and Stacey's Ruth Jones wins big, but Alan Cummings, the host, his skills divided the audience.
Your show titles are very misleading. Wolf Hall, no wolves. Scoop, no ice cream.
Yes, Alan Cumming may not have gone down well with fans, but there was a big uproar and a lot of cheers for Mr. Bates, Mr. Big Stuff and Mr. Loverman. I'll have all the latest from last night's TV BAFTAs later in the show.
History in the making. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky offers to meet Russia's Vladimir Putin in person as soon as Thursday.
A crisis in pensioner poverty, an epidemic of elderly supermarket shoplifting reported since the Chancellor's cuts to winter fuel allowances.
From dad bod to abs and a six-pack. Don't miss our interview later this morning with a man who went on a radical diet to transform his body in just 4 weeks.
Thunder and lightning is in the forecast for some of us as we kick off this new week. I'll have all the details later and whether you're likely to see any.
Hello there, very good to see you on this Monday morning. Thank you for starting your day with us on television, on radio and online. This is Breakfast and I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Ellie Costello. Lots of you are getting in touch on that rising number of pensioners who are now shoplifting in order to eat. Philip says, years ago, I was a security guard for a big high street company. Quite regularly, there were serious shoplifters that were arrested. But one morning, an old man came into the store with a folded newspaper under his arm and quickly slipped a packet of bacon into that newspaper and then left. Surely the supermarket should get together to come up with a strict method of trying to help older people.
Yeah, like a sort of food bank type idea. Yeah.
Because honestly, if I worked in security for one of these big supermarkets like that and I saw an old person come in and try and put food into their bag, I'd turn a blind eye.
I think there's a big lack of sympathy to the supermarket profits. I'm not endorsing this, I'm not saying this is right at all, but when you get Tesco reporting billions of pounds, billions in terms of profit, and other people can't afford to pay for their packet of bacon, why... We've got something out of order there, we have. Generally, Jason, good morning, Jason, saying, isn't it funny that both Labour and the Tories are flapping about after these local elections? Bring on the general election, I say. Well, is it a sign of things to come?
Yeah, Heather says, Starmer's promise of cracking down on immigration really is a case of shutting the stable door after the horse has bolted.
Well, there were a lot of horses bolting down the red carpet last night at the British Television Awards for the BAFTAs in London 2025.
Yes, ITV's Mr. Bates versus The Post Office scooped Best Limited Drama, while Ruth Jones won in the female comedy category for her role in Gavin and Stacey. And see if you can spot her tribute to her beloved character, Nessa.
I'm not going to lie, this is immense. I wasn't expecting to win this, no way. I've won a BAFTA before, of course I have, in 1976. It was the Barry Arcade Fruity Technician Award. And I was grateful for that, but this This is cracking.
Congratulations, Ruth, and the cast of Gavin and Stacey. Here is our entertainment editor, Alex Davis, who was there last night. Did you enjoy them?
Do you know what I did? Even though I was a bit divided by Alan Cumming, as we mentioned earlier in the show, the good thing about this one is, this awards, is it stayed pretty apolitical. They kept it very much to the book. Most of the speeches on stage, because that just really winds me up when we watch award shows, and it's used as a platform for political grandstanding. And there was an absence of that last night, which is always good.
But do you know what I would say, Alex? So many films, particularly, I was a devout cinema goer, and I rarely go nowadays because there's nothing. I know exactly the sort of film I like. And usually an action-adventure type thing. I go to the cinema to escape. Sci-fi should only be watched at the cinema. You know, that's my view about things. But my goodness me, everything has a message nowadays. And beating a drum on a certain subject, you want to go, oh, shut up.
Yeah. Well, I know you're a fan of a Western as well, and I couldn't name you the latest great Western that hit the cinemas, to be honest with you. And speaking about messaging and things like that, obviously we've had quite a lot this year about adolescence. And last night at the BAFTAs, it didn't fall within the time frame to be nominated for anything.
Would it be nominated next year?
Without a doubt, I'd imagine. They had several of the casts were still there to present awards and attend the red carpet as well. The red carpet was quite an event last night. I know we've been speaking a little bit off camera about the ones who have made the headlines. You've got all of these talented actors there, but it's the Love Island stars and the ones who wear the daring outfits on the red carpet that are on the front pages of all the newspapers today. Even though, like you see, Ruth Jones won Best Comedy Performance, Danny Dyer won for the
they're nowhere to be seen, aren't they?
They're nowhere to be seen. We've got Maura Higgins, Christine McGuinness, Gabby Allen. All of these names, I'm sure, are going straight over your head. But these are the people who have hit fame on Love Island and The Sort, and who bear all the flesh on the red carpet. But one of the biggest ones from the red carpet was talking about it being apolitical, was a Married at First Sight star called Ella Morgan. She's a trans woman, and she took a clutch bag which said trans men are men, trans women are women, just sort of showing a protest against the Supreme Court's recent ruling. That was probably as political as last night got.
People can't make up their mind whether to be for this trans issue or against it. You know, last week, when the ruling was made, everybody's waving flags and whatever. Oh, yes, I thought this all along, I believe this, and whatever. Then you get someone like her there last night, and I'm sure no one said to her, shut up and go away and don't do this message. Everybody will be in favour of this. I think people, by and large, are quite accepting. You know? Is it worth fighting about?
There was the whole big thing about Have I Got News for You a few weeks ago, how Ian Hislop and The Sort, you know, Have I Got News for You, a big political show talking about topical issues for the past, I don't know, 30-odd years. And they always avoided this issue until now, and Ian Hislop did a speech about it. But again, it was very much on the fence, and Joe Brand said about how, you know, people don't speak about these issues for fear of being cancelled. But she was one of the stars who made a bit of a stand last night on the red carpet. Just to go through some of the other winners, because just for those who don't know, drama series went to Blue Lights, which is a BBC drama.
Filmed in Northern Ireland.
It is. Belfast, it is indeed. There you go. That was a bit of a surprise, actually. That beat off Wolf Hall and Sherwood, which are two other big BBC productions. So that was a good one. Leading actor went to Lenny James from Mr. Loverman, not Mr. Big Stuff or Mr. Bates. There's so many Misters, I keep getting confused. So Lenny James won leading actor ahead of Toby Jones, Richard Gadd from Baby Reindeer. Marissa Abella, who played Amy Winehouse in the Amy Winehouse film last year, she won leading actor for Industry, which is quite a good series. And then other wins for Danny Dyer, Ruth Jones, as we saw. Arion Bakare, who is the co-star of Lenny James in Mr. Loverman, Jessica Gunning from Baby Reindeer. A big surprise for me, and a huge shock, was in the entertainment section. That went to Joe Lycett over the likes of Ant and Dec, who are seasoned award winners.
What's Joe doing now? Is there something around the world or something?
He visits all the Birminghams around the world.
Oh, yes, that's what he's doing, exactly.
Are there lots of Birminghams around?
Yes.
In America and so.
It's like 76 or something. This is called Birmingham. It's huge.
But he saw off the likes of, like I said, Claudia Winkleman, Anton Deck, Graham Norton. That was a big shock.
But you see, these aren't voted for by the public.
Only one award is voted for by the public, and that's the most memorable moment. That went to the Strictly Come Dancing dance between Chris McCaulland and Diane Buswell. So Chris McCaulland's a blind comic, and they did a dance where halfway through they shut off the lights to make so the audience could feel what it'd be like to be famous. And he walked on his own as well during the routine. And that was voted for by the public. That beat Gavin and Stacey, The Traitors, and several other big moments from TV for the
Very good. OK, come back after 9 o'clock and give us an insight into some more things and why Maura Higgins was attracting so much attention last night. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers, Alex.
Now it's time to tell you about our current giveaway, the biggest one to date, your chance to win a motorhome worth over £67,000 plus £5,000 in tax-free cash. It really could all be yours. Here's how.
Great Britain is ready for you to explore this summer, and there's still plenty of time to grab this fabulous family motorhome. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, the Elnag Baron 560 comfortably sleeps 4, has integrated bathroom and kitchen spaces, and plenty of storage for all of the things you'd need to bring along on your next adventure. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that anywhere you visit in your brand new motorhome is done in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
About for going from that fantastic competition to pensioner poverty. You don't have to steal that one. You can be awarded that one if you enter into it from our point of view. So many pensioners are just feeling so badly off. They just wonder what can be done in this present climate. And we want to introduce you to Rob Bright. Rob is a pensioner, and we're talking about a massive increase in pensioner shoplifters as well. But Rob, tell us, as a pensioner, how are you finding life, mate?
Well, I'm lucky because right from the very beginning of my career, I was encouraged to open a pension. I have been for my whole working life. So really, I'm very, very, very lucky. I've been contributing and paying my pensions the whole time. So the £300 winter fuel benefit doesn't really affect me too much. Although I know many pensioners that it does affect a lot. I mean, removing it last year seemed barbaric at the time. And it still does, to be honest. Because there's plenty of people I know that that actually relied on it.
So does it shock you? Does it surprise you then that we've seen this rise in pensioners who are having to shoplift in order to eat?
No, it absolutely doesn't surprise me. But it does expose one very, very important scandal we've got going at the moment, and that's one of two-tier pensioners. There's two layers of pensioners in this country now. There's those who retire on a public service pension. They're the ones that get to drive new cars. They have 2 holidays each year. They have nice Christmases, and they're really the ones that don't need the £300 a year fuel allowances. And then there's the other ones that have retired from the private sector. They're the ones that are lucky if they've got an old car, they're lucky. They don't have the great Christmases. They don't have the nice holidays. But they're the ones that've got a pension that's been cobbled together over various jobs that have had pension schemes. Right. They're not a full one.
OK, and then that brings you, if you're paying into something, that brings you to the position you'd be today if you have retired. I must say, Rob, from my point of view, the only thing I really resent about school is that no one taught me the importance of saving and a pension, for instance. And I look at this and I think, if I had have stuck with this, dedicated, not cashed it in early, not, just, to get yourself 2,000 quid or something, and then you forget to do it again, and there's all sorts of rigmarole about it. But you seemed as if you were told what to do, you did it, you stuck to it, and now you're reaping the benefits.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't told about this at school, far from it.
No.
I was told I had to open a pension when I joined what it was to become BT. You might remember the General Post Office, the yellow vans. I was made an apprentice. I got an apprenticeship with the became BT, and I had to join the union. That was it was a closed shop in those days. You did it, and that was it. And you joined their pension scheme, and that was it. And I said, look, at the time I said, look, hey, I'm 15 years old. I don't need a pension. I've got donkey's years before I need to think about a pension. They said, no, you've got to do it. Really, 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 you've got to do it. And they sat me down. They gave me all the reasons why I should do it, and I did. And I've concentrated all the time since then. I've built on it, and that's as you say, that's why I'm sitting here in relative health and relative comfort.
Well, long may it continue.
Never taught that at school.
Yeah, no, that's the point I was making. Just generally, none of us were ever taught about school. That's my resentment about school. They should have taught me that instead of some of the things they did teach me. But it prepares you for life. You stay prepared for life, Rob. Lovely talking to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Eamonn. Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you. Let's get a check on the weather now with Jonathan Bautry.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Some of us are starting off the week with a bang because thunderstorms are in the forecast as this area of low pressure moves its way in from the south to provide a slightly more unsettled picture for some of us. We've already got areas of rain across western Scotland to kick off the day. This is heavy at times, so it will tend to ease off throughout the day. Outbreaks, though, lingering for parts of eastern Northern Ireland as well. It's really into this afternoon that we'll start to see those heavy, thundery downpours developing. Particular focus for them to spread across parts of London, through the Midlands, into areas of Wales, Cheshire region as well. Northern coast of the West Country could also see some heavy downpours at times. There will be hit and miss. Not everyone in these regions will see them, but where they do occur, some localised flooding is possible, so it's worth taking care. And if you do miss them, there will be some warm sunshine in play. Temperatures rising to the mid-20s across parts of Wales and England. 19-20 degrees Celsius possible through the central belt of Scotland as well. These showers will tend to ease off as we do move into the evening, sort of rumbling a little bit across parts of northwest England, southwest Scotland before eventually dying their way out. And many of us will then see a dry second half of the night with some clear spells. Some mist and fog will develop in places, pushing in across eastern coast at a time with that breeze coming in off the North Sea. But it will be relatively mild. Temperatures in the south particularly holding up in double-digit figures. Single figures more likely across areas to the north and the east. Well, away from some cloud across the far north coast of Scotland, it's likely to be a very bright, sunny morning for most of us on Tuesday. Again, there'll be some showers and thunderstorms cropping up, but this time much more limited to parts of South Wales and areas of the West Country, and many of us really will get away with a nice, fine, warm, dry day. Temperatures again peaking in the 20s, perhaps 25 degrees Celsius in the south and east. And the theme throughout the rest of this week is for the sunshine really to be prevailing, remaining dry for most of us with some warm conditions persisting.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be talking to one of Reform UK's London Assembly members about where the party is headed next.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This must have been the most difficult time
Yeah, for him, yeah, obviously. But I noticed there's no mention of the one that happened to me when I was a Top Gear presenter, when I ended up upside down in a ditch just outside Ormskirk and had to burrow my way out of the wreckage.
Gosh.
I was then taken to hospital having been scalped with numerous injuries and was told to keep quiet and not tell anybody about it. And get this, had to ride back from the hospital to my house on a motorcycle. They just keep quiet about it. And they just paid off the guy whose Lotus Classic car was completely written off in the accident.
Gosh.
And the only trace of this incident is on my Wikipedia page, where at the bottom it says, "We love getting together as presenters so we could have a good laugh about what Steve Berry had crashed that week. Jeremy Clarkson, having a good old laugh at my expense."
Well, Steve, I'm really sorry. I had no idea that had happened to you, and obviously,
equally, nobody's got any idea what happened to me. They just had a good old laugh about it. I had to burrow my way out of that car like a badger. My hands were cut to shreds, and I had to ride home. Having been scalped, I had to have my scalp stapled back onto my head. They told me to shut up and keep quiet about it. And I got 6 grand. The problem for me is it's just dangerous. Once you start messing about with cars and motorbikes, it's just you're rolling the dice every single time you do it. And every so often, it's going to come up snake eyes. And it did for Freddie. And I feel sorry for the lad. It's terrible what happened to him. But I'll tell you what, that £9 million must...
Well, it's a dangerous game, isn't it? Steve Berry, thanks indeed for joining us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 8:21. We're going to be talking to Dawn and Biggins in just a moment, but before any of that, joining us now is Reform UK London Assembly member Alex Wilson. Good to see you this morning, Alex.
Good morning. Very good to see you too.
Can we start by talking about the government, who we're going to hear from shortly?
One of my dogs going upstairs as well.
Oh, yeah. Yes. We like to see dogs in the back of the screen, don't worry. We're going to hear from the government shortly, talking about their crackdown on net migration. Is this something that Reform welcomes?
Well, we simply don't believe what they're saying. I mean, both the Conservatives and the Labour governments have both failed utterly on the subject. It's no coincidence that both of those parties are bringing out their new proposals now in the wake of what was a fantastic set of election results for Reform just a week and a half ago. They're both running scared. They've got every reason to be running scared because people have woken up to their failure. So they can talk about it all they like, but ultimately, we don't believe a word they say. The proof of the pudding will be in the eating, and we just don't think it's going to get served up on a plate.
Alex, what sort of satisfaction, if any, do you get hearing Labour talk about what they're going to talk about today to such a degree that they're going to talk about it today? Because basically everything from here on in is as a response or a countermeasure to what you guys have stirred up and created and how you've got people talking.
Yeah, I mean, it shows very much that we are setting the agenda. We've only got 5 MPs at the moment. We know that if there was a general election tomorrow, we'd have an awful lot more. But with our 5 MPs and me as our one currently London Assembly member, we are absolutely making so much noise, punching well above our weight, and the proof, shown by those local election results last week, where people have now woken up to the failures of both the established parties. They're choosing to vote Reform in their droves because they want something different. They want some change. They want some politicians who actually believe what they say. I mean, Labour are responding to that. But as I said, I simply do not believe they will deliver because their party is wedded to open borders. It was Tony Blair that started the huge rise in migration in the first place, continued by the Conservatives and continued by Labour. We've had 11,500 illegal crossings already this year. That's somewhere between 40 to 50% up on this point last year. Keir Starmer talks about smashing the gangs, but the only thing he's doing is smashing the records and smashing his own credibility. I simply do not believe him.
What is Reform's plan then when it comes to net migration? Would you set a cap on numbers?
We want to aim for what we're calling net zero migration. So, we can keep the population numbers stable, so everything else can catch up. Public services, housing, all that can catch up and get ourselves in a much better position. But we need to have people running the system who genuinely believe in that. The Home Office is not fit for purpose. We want to set up a separate department that will deal with this, have a minister directly accountable for removing those people who shouldn't be here. It's only by doing that and having that direct level of accountability you can really start to get the change that we need and get a system that people can have confidence in.
Alex, do you have confidence in yourself, for instance? How does it feel like being the only representative of your party at the London Assembly?
Well, for the last year, that's been the case, and it is quite lonely on there. I don't really have many friends in the other parties, certainly not in the chamber. I mean, we chat perfectly civilly in the corridor, but nobody's been willing to work with me on any matters in the chamber yet. However, we've got some groundbreaking new polling evidence that shows that if there was a London Assembly election tomorrow, we'd get up to 5 members elected. If there was a general election tomorrow, we would be the second party in vote share in London. We've overtaken the Conservatives. Labour still in the lead, which is understandable given the city that London is. But it's Reform now on 19% in second place. Our vote share up 10% since the general election. The Conservatives are down, back in third place. And the same is true if there was a mayoral election tomorrow. Then it looks like Reform challenges to Sadiq in that as well.
But like you said, if there is an election tomorrow, you have a lot of groundwork to do, 5 MPs so far, but lots of questions over the weekend about your budgets, because Nigel Farage in the Daily Mail over the weekend was outlining your plans, and he talked about raising the income tax threshold to £20,000 and also scrapping inheritance tax for estates worth up to £2 million, right? Well, the Tories have responded to that, saying that it would spell bankruptcy for Britain. They're saying your proposals alone on income tax cuts would cost about a third of the entire NHS budget. What do you say to that?
Well, it's understandable the other parties will throw those allegations at us. That's the rough and tumble nature of politics. But what we need to do, we need to demonstrate that it's the kind of policies on tax that the Conservatives used to believe in. You cut tax rates, you grow the economy more quickly, ultimately you have more economic activity growing both in the private sector, and then you have the money to pay for the public services that we all need. We've seen from this Labour government that they're raising tax rates, they're raising tax on hardworking people, they're raising capital gains tax, they're raising all these things, and they're getting less money as a result of it. The same works in reverse. If you cut tax rates, grow the cake more quickly, you've then got more cake for everybody. And that's what we're doing. It's the kind of politics the Conservatives used to believe in and delivered successfully back in their heyday. But they've abandoned that agenda now, and so it's left to us to take up the mantle of being a low-tax, high-growth, pro-business party.
OK, well, Alex, unfortunately, we've got to abandon you after hearing all that you had to say there. Sorry, I was just talking to Alex there. Don't let him go. As he... Why they always do. Oh, there we are. Alex, the reason I was just looking to see if the dog has gone up the stairs. Now it's come down the stairs again. So I don't know if you know where it is. Dog policies. Can I give you a tip as a politician? Not that I'm the politician, you're the politician. Dog-friendly policies will win you votes.
It's true.
Take it from me. You heard it from me first.
Absolutely.
Alex, what's your dog called?
Thank you very much.
It's called thanks very
the one
much.
that's been going up and down the stairs, that's Otto.
Otto.
The other one is called Malbec.
Ooh.
Lovely names. Otto Malbec.
Yes.
Lovely.
Very fancy, very fancy.
Thanks,
Well, lovely to
Alex.
leave you. Thank you very much indeed. A dog's nice in the morning, just puts you in a different mood.
I love seeing little pets running around at the back of
Yeah. No, I definitely think we all should be somewhere that you should be allowed to bring your dog to work.
Yeah. No, I would like that. I'd welcome that. We could have a studio dog.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Sit on the desk with us. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
We could have a little dog creche over there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good
Blue
idea.
Peter had a dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like that. OK. We're back right after the break. Here is your traffic news.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M48 westbound is closed for bridge maintenance between Junction 1 Ost and Junction 2 Newhouse with diversions. On the M62 westbound between Junction 27 and 26, a breakdown has closed 2 of 4 lanes, causing an hour's delay. The M5 southbound in Worcestershire from junction 7 to 8 has an incident resulting in lane closure and similar delays. In West Berkshire, a collision on the A34 southbound between the A4185 and the M4 causes 10-minute delays. And on the trains, Southern and Thameslink services between East Grinstead and East Croydon are affected. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
At this stage of the game, across live to Downing Street, you're going to hear from the Prime Minister setting out his plans on a crackdown on net migration. Let's have a look and a listen.
Because what followed from the previous government, starting with the people who used that slogan, was the complete opposite. Between 2019 and 2023, even as they were going round our country, telling people with a straight face that they would get immigration down, net migration quadrupled until in 2023 it reached nearly 1 million. That's about the population of Birmingham, our second largest city. That's not control, it's chaos. And look, they must answer for themselves. But I don't think that you can do something like that by accident. It was a choice made even as they told you, told the country, they were doing the opposite. A one-nation experiment in open borders, conducted on a country that voted for control. Well, no more. Today, this Labour government is shutting down the lab. The experiment is over. We will deliver what you've asked for time and again, and we will take back control of our borders. And let me tell you why. Because I know, on a day like today, people who like politics will try to make this all about politics, about this or that strategy, targeting these voters, responding to that party. No. I'm doing this because it is right, because it is fair, and because it is what I believe in. Let me put it this way. Nations depend on rules, fair rules. Sometimes they're written down, often they're not. But either way, they give shape to our values, guide us towards our rights, of course, but also our responsibilities, the obligations we owe to each other. Now, in a diverse nation like ours, and I celebrate that, these rules become even more important. Without them, we risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together. So when you have an immigration system that seems almost designed to permit abuse, that encourages some businesses to bring in lower paid workers rather than invest in our young people, or simply one that is sold by politicians to the British people on an entirely false premise, then you're not championing growth, you're not championing justice, or however else people defend the status quo. You're actually contributing to the forces that are slowly pulling our country apart. So yes, I believe in this. I believe we need to reduce immigration significantly. That's why some of the policies in this white paper go back nearly 3 years. Why I told the Labour Party conference, taking back control is a Labour argument. And why, most importantly of all, inward migration is already falling with this government. It's about fairness. And look, I mean, migration is part of Britain's national story. We talked last week about the great rebuilding of this country after the war. Migrants were part of that, and they make a massive contribution today. And you will never hear me denigrate that. But when people come to our country, they should also commit to integration, to learning our language. And our system should actively distinguish between those that do and those that don't. I think that's fair. Equally, Britain must compete for the best talent in the world, in science, in technology, in healthcare. You can't simply pull up a drawbridge, let nobody in, and think that's an economy that would work. That would hurt the pay packets of working people without question. But at the same time, we do have to ask why parts of our economy seem almost addicted to importing cheap labour, rather than investing in the skills of people who are here and want a good job in their community. Sectors like engineering, where visas have rocketed while apprenticeships have plummeted. Is that fair to Britain? Is that fair to young people, weighing up their future to miss out on those apprentices? To see colleges in their community almost entirely dedicated to one-year courses for overseas students? No, I don't think that it is. And truth be told, I don't think anybody does. Yet that is the Britain this broken system has created. So as this white paper sets out, every area of the immigration system, work, family and study, will be tightened up so we have more control. Skill requirements raised to degree level. English language requirements across all routes, including for dependents. The time it takes to acquire settled status extended from 5 years to 10. And enforcement tougher than ever, because fair rules must be followed. Now, make no mistake, this plan means migration will fall. That's a promise. But I want to be very clear on this. If we do need to take further steps, if we do need to do more to release pressure on housing and our public services, then mark my words, we will. But it's not just about numbers, because the chaos of the previous government also changed the nature of immigration in this country. Fewer people who make a strong economic contribution, more who work in parts of our economy that put downward pressure on wages. So perhaps the biggest shift in this white paper is that we will finally honour what take back control meant and begin to choose who comes here. so that migration works for our national interest. You know, this is where the whole debate is skewed. As if some people think controlling immigration is reining in a sort of natural freedom, rather than the basic and reasonable responsibility of government to make choices that work for a nation's economy. And for years, this seems to have muddled our thinking. But let me be clear, it ends now. We will create a migration system that is controlled, selective, and fair. A clean break with the past that links access to visas directly to investment in homegrown skills. So that if a business wants to bring people in from abroad, they must first invest in Britain. But also, so settlement becomes a privilege that is earned, not a right. Easier if you make a contribution, if you work, pay in, and help rebuild our country. Now, some people may even be against that. But I think for the vast majority of people in this country, that is what they have long wanted to see. An immigration system that is fair, that works for our national interest, and that restores common sense and control to our borders. That is what this white paper will deliver. Lower net migration, higher skills, backing British workers. The start of repairing our social contract, which the chaos and cynicism of the last government did so much to undermine. Thank you. I will now take a number of questions from the media. I've got a hopefully accurate list here, starting with Chris Mason, BBC. Thank you. Chris.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Chris Mason, BBC News. Let's be clear, are you promising today that net migration will fall every year between now and the next election, come what may?
Well, I'm promising it will fall significantly, and I do want to get it down by the end of this Parliament significantly. That is what this plan is intended to achieve, the complete opposite of what you saw in the last 4 years. It is frankly incredible that net migration quadrupled in 4 short years to nearly 1 million. This white paper, these plans bring it back into control, make sure it's controlled, that is selective, that we decide who comes to this country, and that it is fair. And that's what we will do, significant reduction in immigration. And as I've indicated, if it becomes necessary to take further measures, then that's what we will do. Thank you. Robert, ITV.
Robert Beston, ITV. Prime Minister, you know that countries that want to grow are in a global race for top talent. Your #1 priority is growth. Haven't you shot yourself in the foot by insisting that those who want to be citizens now have to live here twice as long as those who want to be American citizens? And if I may, we've just heard that there will be a 90-day massive reduction in the tariffs that China and America are imposing on each other. Are you relieved that at least temporarily they've laid down their economic arms?
Well, let me take both those points. I'm not encouraging 2 questions each because we've got to just get through this. On the growth question, on the growth question, I do think this is worth taking some time on because the theory that higher migration numbers necessarily leads to higher growth has been tested in the last 4 years. So we've had the highest net migration when the last government lost control to nearly 1 million and stagnant growth. And so that link doesn't hold on that evidence. The second thing is that this white paper is not just a white paper on immigration. It's also a white paper that deals with skills and training. And one of the reasons that we've had stagnant growth, in my view, for years, is because we've underinvested chronically in skills and growth. So by putting skills and growth into the same plan as migration, which is something businesses have been asking for years, you actually answer the growth question as well. And I should say, as a footnote to that, as you heard in the speech and you'll see in the white paper, in relation to high talent, where we want the very best into the country. We will have routes to get that talent into this country, and I think there's real potential for us to do so in the current environment, and we intend to do so. On the question of the China tariffs, I just saw something flash up in the room back there. I'm not across the complete detail. I'm very pleased, obviously, that we struck our trade deal with the US last week, which will be measured in very many thousands of jobs and billions of pounds into our economy. Thank you, Robert. Sam from Sky. Sam.
Sam Coates, Sky News. Prime Minister, just to pick up on growth and migration, one of the reasons that we've had a laxer migration policy for years is because of basically the Treasury view. Successive chancellors, their fiscal rules and the way that that interacts with the official forecasts means it's always been an easy win to have more growth by having more people in the country. What's your message today to the Treasury, to the OBR, and are you doing anything to actually change the way that they work and look at all this stuff and calculate the cost-benefit analysis of growth and migration?
Yeah, well, thank you, Sam. Just succinctly, and then adding to the answer I just gave. Firstly, the pure theory, if you like, that simply higher migration numbers necessarily leads to higher growth, I think has been tested in the last 4 years. We quadrupled in actually a very short period of time. And, you know, I think whatever political persuasion you are, it is quite extraordinary that net migration quadrupled in 4 years. We've never seen that before in this country, but growth didn't shift. It stayed stagnant. Secondly, this point about skills and migration, what businesses have been calling out for a long time is link migration to the skills and training that we need in this country. In the past, governments have done sort of knee-jerk reductions without making that link. We're making that link in this paper, which is really important in terms of where we go with the economy, because I do think it's underinvestment in those areas that's caused a lot of the problem. The other thing that the paper is doing is readjusting the model, because it's got to a place now where there's many more low-skilled jobs rather than high-skilled jobs. So by adjusting the threshold for skills, this allows migration to be in the areas of high skills, which are more likely to make a significant contribution to our economy. Thank you very much, Sam. I've got Gary from Channel 4.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Have you been on a bit of a journey yourself on this? Did you used to believe that higher immigration led to higher growth? Would Keir Starmer a few years ago have talked about an island of strangers? Are you one of the people who now thinks that Article 8 of the ECHR is actually a problem and not something that's just exaggerated by other people?
Well, Gary, thank you very much. I invite you to dig out my conference speech at Labour Party conference. I know you remember them all. But 3 years ago now, I think it was, when I made the very political argument that I've made this morning, which is that take back control, understanding why you need control, selection of fair immigration is a Labour argument. And once you've dug out that transcript, there's then the speech I made to the CBI, I think about 3 years ago, making the same argument in relation to business, saying too many businesses, in my view, are too dependent on migration rather than training and skilling up people in this country. And that was, I was signalling to the CBI then that would change under a Labour government. So there's a core consistency through here. On Article 8, yeah, we do want to ensure that the right balance is made in migration cases in relation to the national interest. There's a balance set out in legislation already. That needs to be adjusted, in my view, and that's what we will do. Thank you, Gary. Chris Hope, sorry. There's a lot of Chris's.
Chris Hope, GB News. Prime Minister, we've been here before, haven't we? There have been 3 immigration acts since 2014. The Immigration Act in 2014 and 2016 both aimed to reduce immigration. They both failed. Why on earth should GB News viewers think you're going to succeed? And why not give us a promise right now? Why give us a fixed target right now, not a promise, so we can judge you on success? The Tories at least did that, but they failed.
Well, look, the difference here, this is the most comprehensive plan that has been put forward. It's been forward to end the Tory sort of open borders experiment that we have had. You're right about that. And it looks at all routes, and it's comprehensive. And it does the hard yards of linking skills and business to what we need to do with the economy. So it's not a narrow look just at the numbers. It puts them in their proper context. On the question, which we do want to significantly reduce migration, I'm absolutely making clear that's what it will do, and that if we need to go further, we will. So that's the promise I make to your viewers. I don't think it's sensible to put a hard-edged cap on it. That has been done in one form or another for the best part of 10 years by different prime ministers. The only thing that links those prime ministers and the various caps or quotas or limits they put in place is every single one of them failed. And therefore, going down the failed route is not a sensible way for me. As with everything that I do, serious, pragmatic, looking at the things that will actually make a material difference. Thank you, Chris. Jerry from The Times.
Prime Minister Jerry Scott from The Times. What is your message to the 9 million inactive adults in the UK at the moment who might not think that they should take work in a care home, for example, and also to some of your Labour MPs who might be squeamish about Labour government taking a tough line on immigration? Well,
firstly, let's acknowledge within that 9 million there are some people who can't work, and we need to be clear about that from the start. But there are others who can, and as we've set out in our welfare provisions, the principles are clear. Where people can't work and are unlikely to be able to work, they should be protected and supported. But where people can get into work, they should be supported. The current system does the opposite, and so we will support them into work with a £1 billion package, the right to try, and measures like that. And that if you can work, you should work. And I do think that this white paper should be seen in conjunction with what we're doing on welfare. And on squeamishness, I actually think that the Labour Party has as core values the idea that immigration should be controlled, that it should be selective. We should be choosing who we want, higher skills, the high talent routes into our country. And it must be fair. They're basic Labour arguments and concepts for many, many years. Thank you. I've got Jack from The Sun. Jack.
Thank you, Prime Minister. You said just now this is a comprehensive plan to bring down legal migration. You also said in the election you had a comprehensive plan to bring down illegal migration. And so far it seems that isn't working. Small boat crossings are going up on your watch. So why should voters think that your plan to bring down illegal migration will fare any better, especially given that you're considering an EU youth mobility scheme, which could actually increase it?
Well, let's tackle that head on, because nobody but nobody should be getting in a small boat to cross over the channel and illegally entering this country. The last government lost control of the borders. It falls to this government to clear up that mess in the same way we're clearing up all the other messes that they left behind. I am convinced that the way to do that is to take down the gangs that are running the vile trade. And for that reason, we've drafted and put before Parliament a borders bill, which follows through on the promises I made, which is we need to give law enforcement greater powers, going down the counter-terrorism powers. The thing that distinguishes counter-terrorism from other law enforcement is you can take action earlier. You can be preemptive. You can operate in a completely different way. That's why we've gone for a package that allows law enforcement to get in much earlier. That is going through Parliament. Who is voting against that? The Tories, who caused the problem in the first place. Thank you, Jack. Martin from the Daily Mail. Martin.
Prime Minister Martin Beckford from the Daily Mail. Gary asked if you've been on a journey on net migration. Similarly, you talked about tough enforcement. One of today's measures is for foreign nationals convicted of any offence to be considered for deportation. Yet just 5 years ago, you signed a letter calling for the halt to a deportation flight that contained, amongst others, 2 people convicted of rape and 3 of GBH. Your views have changed, haven't they?
No, I've always said that those who commit offences should be deported. I ran the Crown Prosecution Service for 5 years between 2008 and 2013, and it fell to my prosecutors on my instructions to ask for the deportations in the first place in the Crown courts. So I've been really clear. I've been in charge of cases where we routinely asked for the judge, because that's the way the system operated in those days, to add to the sentence an order at the end that there should be a deportation. So what's that? That's going back the best part of 20 years. Thank you very much. And I've got Michael from the Daily Express.
Thank you,
Michael.
Does going further mean disentangling ourselves from the ECHR and disapplying human rights laws in immigration cases?
No. I don't think that is necessary. I also remind myself that the international agreements we've signed have given us the basis for the deals that we've struck on illegal migration. So the Home Secretary has moved fast, working with other countries, to put in place materially improved deals with other countries in relation to migration. That would not have been possible if we had been saying at the same time we're about to withdraw from our international obligations. I could give you many more examples than that, but you can't strike those deals with other countries to work more closely together on law enforcement to smash the gangs, and to work on returns agreements, which is what we want to do, if in the next breath you're saying you don't believe in international law. If you do, you can strike the deals. If you don't, you can't. And one of the features of the last government is they struggled to strike these deals because other countries said, if you don't comply with international law, why should we write and agree an international agreement with you, which to me is plain common sense. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was the Prime Minister there holding a press conference on Labour's immigration reforms and taking questions from the press. He said that we need to reduce immigration significantly, that migrants must earn the right to stay, that every area of the immigration system needs to be tightened up. And he talked about the chaos and the cynicism of previous governments. He said they've experimented with open borders. He says that experiment is now over and Labour has shut down the lab. We've got our Home and Security editor, Mark White, here with us for instant reaction to that. Mark, what do you make of what you heard?
Well, I mean, he didn't really set out the detail there, although much of it has been leaked already. I mean, what I take from the plans that they're putting in place is, yes, it will reduce migration numbers, but really we're only talking about 50, 60, maybe 70,000. And that is nowhere near enough, I think, as far as the wider population is concerned, to satisfy them that immigration numbers are under control. You heard the Prime Minister there himself saying that in 2023, 1 million people net came to the UK. And in fact, over 4 years, the numbers of migrants quadrupled. Now, it's on a downward trajectory again, incidentally, because of the previous government, because of changes that they've brought in around student visas, the right to bring family members over, increasing the salary threshold for certain jobs, especially within the care centre. So it's going down. And when we get the latest net migration figures from the Office for National Statistics, which will come out at the end of next week, next Thursday, I think, that will show us that it's come down even further. But we're nowhere near getting to the tens of thousands that David Cameron once promised multiple times would be the aim of that particular...
Why hold this news conference today, then? What was the purpose of that?
Well, they want to show that they're trying to do something, that they're trying to grip the problem. I thought it was interesting, one of the reporters saying to the Prime Minister, you're telling us about this sure plan that you have here to do that, but you told us exactly the same thing about small boat migrants, and yet we are at record levels.
This is my point. You see, I listen to this and I think, why are you saying these things? Why are you putting this stuff on the table? Because you aren't going to be able to do anything about it with existing legislation.
Well, look, I mean, from the government's point of view, they do believe that it will make a difference, an impact, and they say if more needs to be done, then clearly, according to the Prime Minister there, they will take further steps. I think they're going to have to because, as I say, the steps that were enacted by the previous government are now starting to bear fruit with the numbers coming down and, as I say, more expected, in terms of the drop in net migration in a week's time.
Mark, we'll hear from you again just very, very shortly. We were listening to the Prime Minister there. He certainly was speaking for 20 minutes or so, outlining governmental plans on net migration. The full details of those following this weather update.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office.
Some of us are starting off the week with a bang because thunderstorms are in the forecast as this area of low pressure moves its way in from the south to provide a slightly more unsettled picture for some of us. We've already got areas of rain across western Scotland to kick off the day. This is heavy at times, so it will tend to ease off throughout the day. Outbreaks, though, lingering for parts of eastern Northern Ireland as well. It's really into this afternoon that we'll start to see those heavy, thundery downpours developing. Particular focus for them to spread across parts of London, through the Midlands, into areas of Wales, Cheshire region as well. Northern coast of the West Country could also see some heavy downpours at times. There will be hit and miss. Not everyone in these regions will see them, but where they do occur, some localised flooding is possible, so it's worth taking care. And if you do miss them, there will be some warm sunshine in play. Temperatures rising to the mid-20s across parts of Wales and England. 19-20 degrees Celsius possible through the central belt of Scotland as well. These showers will tend to ease off as we do move into the evening, sort of rumbling a little bit across parts of northwest England, southwest Scotland before eventually dying their way out. And many of us will then see a dry second half of the night with some clear spells. Some mist and fog will develop in places, pushing in across eastern coast at a time with that breeze coming in off the North Sea. But it will be relatively mild. Temperatures in the south particularly holding up in double-digit figures. Single figures more likely across areas to the north and the east. Well, away from some cloud across the far north coast of Scotland, it's likely to be a very bright, sunny morning for most of us on Tuesday. Again, there'll be some showers and thunderstorms cropping up, but this time much more limited to parts of South Wales and areas of the West Country. And many of us really will get away with a nice, fine, warm, dry day. Temperatures again peaking in the 20s, perhaps 25 degrees Celsius in the south and east. And the theme throughout the rest of this week is for the sunshine really to be prevailing, remaining dry for most of us with some warm conditions persisting.
Hello there, very good morning. Good to have you on board. We're online, on TV, we've just heard the Prime Minister declaring Britain's migration experiment is over.
Addressing the nation a matter of moments ago, here's what he had to say.
We will create a migration system that is controlled, selective and fair. A clean break with the past that links access to visas directly to investment in homegrown skills.
Well, can we actually deliver a genuine fall in net migration? That's what the Home Office is hoping for.
Well, earlier we spoke to Shadow Minister for Crime, Policing and Fire, Matt Vickers.
The bill that's going through there this afternoon is going to allow illegal immigrants to become British citizens. It's going to remove our ability to force illegal migrants to undergo age verification. Yeah, we're going to end up with 30-year-olds in classrooms with 13-year-olds.
Well, that's the main news we'll be dealing with on this half hour. In other news, the television BAFTAs go down with a bang.
I'm not going to lie, this is immense. I wasn't expecting to win this, no way.
Well, it was congratulations there to Gavin and Stacey Struth-Jones. She won big, but Alan Cummings, the Master of Ceremonies, his skills were a bit mixed.
Your show titles are very misleading. Wolf Hall, no wolves. Scoop, no ice cream.
A crisis in pensioner poverty. An epidemic of elderly supermarket shoplifting is being reported since the Chancellor's cuts to winter fuel payments.
From dad bod to abs and a six-pack. Don't miss our interview at 9:15 with the man who went on a radical diet to transform his body in just 4 weeks. He did that, but was his wife impressed?
Thunder and lightning is in the forecast for some of us as we kick off this new week. I'll have all the details later and whether you're likely to see any.
Hello there, very good to have you this morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast. Well, the Prime Minister has been speaking just a few moments ago, promising a complete overhaul of the migration system. Here's the question that GB News political editor Christopher Hope put to the Prime Minister.
So, GB News, Prime Minister, we've been here before, haven't we? There have been 3 immigration acts since 2014. The Immigration Act in 2014 and 2016 both aimed to reduce immigration. They both failed. Why on earth should GB News viewers think you're going to succeed? And why not give us a promise right now? Why give us a fixed target right now, not a promise, so we can judge you on success? The Tories at least did that, but they failed.
Well, look, the difference here, this is the most comprehensive plan that has been put forward. It's been forward to end the Tory sort of wild open borders experiment that we have had. You're right about that. And it looks at all routes and it's comprehensive. And it does the hard yards of linking skills and business to what we need to do with the economy. So it's not a narrow look just at the numbers. It puts them in their proper context. On the question, which we do want to significantly reduce migration, I'm absolutely making clear that's what it will do, and that if we need to go further, we will. So that's the promise I make to your viewers. I don't think it's sensible to put a hard-edged cap on it. That has been done in one form or another for the best part of 10 years by different prime ministers. The only thing that links those prime ministers and the various caps or quotas or limits they put in place is every single one of them failed. And therefore, going down the failed route is not a sensible way for me. As with everything that I do, serious, pragmatic, looking at the things that will actually make a material difference.
Well, that was just 10 minutes ago, the Prime Minister speaking. Let's get analysis of that. Mark White joining us here in the studio. Mark, our Home and Security Editor. Mark.
Well, clearly the government is hoping that this raft of policies or changes that they're announcing to the immigration system will enable them to bring down migration levels. But the Home Secretary herself, in a round of interviews yesterday, said it amounted to savings of about 50,000 in terms of the reduction in migration levels. Well, that's nowhere near enough, really, to satisfy the vast majority of people that migration is being brought under control. As the Prime Minister said himself there, we had in 2023 1 million people, net migration to this country. Actually, it was 1.2 million came in, but with those who left the country, it came out at about 1 million that particular year. So these changes will bring about a reduction of sorts, and it will build on, actually, a reduction that was brought in under the previous government. Whatever this government says, the Conservatives did introduce some policies such as preventing the vast majority of students from bringing family members over, upping the pay thresholds for certain skilled jobs, especially in the care centre, and that has been making a difference over the last couple of years. And when we get the next level or the next set of Office for National Statistics figures on migration out, not this Thursday but a week on Thursday, they're expected to show that continued drop as well. But is it going to get us anywhere near the tens of thousands that the Conservatives promised for years? Not a hope. And that's why the Prime Minister is very careful there, and the Home Secretary in any interviews that she does, to not put any kind of a cap on this, because that's going to be a hostage to fortune that they are going to be held on.
But then how are you meant to see that this policy is working?
Well, there is the point. He says we are going to bring down net migration significantly. So at least we can say if it only comes down by 60 or 70,000, maybe add the Tories' changes to that 100 or so thousand, then is that significant? I would argue not. It was interesting. One of the questions that the Prime Minister was asked was a question about, you know, how can we really be assured that this plan is going to work when your plan for illegal migration has not worked. And today we can actually reveal exclusively that another surge in small boat crossings has happened. It started over the weekend, it's continued today, and already this morning 4 or 5 boats have crossed, 250 migrants so far coming to UK waters.
Often related to the quality of the weather, which looks to be quite good out there today.
Yes, but also demonstrating, because anytime you've got good weather, they're coming. So it demonstrates that the policy of smashing the gangs isn't working, because if it was, it wouldn't matter what the weather was.
Mark, just stay with us and have a listen now, because we've got Christopher Hope, who's at the scene of that news conference there. Chris, of course, is our political editor. As to how did you feel that the Prime Minister performed?
I think he's quite confident, actually, Eamonn and Ellie. I think the politics of this, which is my job to look at that, is fascinating. We had the disaster at the ballot box a week last Thursday when Reform UK surged and won all those councils across the country. I counted him saying, take back control 5 times. That's language that we remember vividly from the 2016 EU referendum, and that is what the Tory government failed to do in the 8 years since that vote, and that's why he thinks he can deliver on that. The language there also, he said that there are forces slowly pulling this country apart. Now, if I haven't heard a bigger attack on multiculturalism from the PM, I haven't heard one. We need to reduce immigration significantly, but I asked him on behalf of GB News viewers, what will that figure be? As you were saying there, how can we judge your success in this? The answer came there, none. And I think that's what's so important. Mark's right, there might be 120,000 fall in net migration, maybe. Figures out a week Thursday, but that barely touches the sides on the figures coming on the overall figure. 1.2 million, I think 700,000, the more recent figure. Where are we? That is far more than new homes they're building, and that's why I think the politics is so difficult. But it appears to me that if in language only, and let's see if it's delivered. And Rachel Reeves was sitting just alongside me. That question about will the Treasury allow you to cut back on migration, and if that damages the economy, is that going to be okay with you, Prime Minister? That is a question which has failed Tory leaders over the past 8 years. But what was interesting that he said that during all that period, the Boris boom in migration since 2021, we haven't grown more in the economy. So almost that boom in economy is how the PM will answer the Treasury. Well, you had all that the growth there in the migration in those years, and the economy didn't grow at the same time. So perhaps this might be the moment when the Treasury is put back in its box, and the politics delivering on that promise of 2016 for so many Brexiteer voters is delivered.
Chris, what's your sense of why we're hearing this tough rhetoric from the Prime Minister now? Do you think it is a knee-jerk reaction to the local election results last week, or do you think it is, they promised to bring down net migration in their manifesto, didn't they?
Yeah, that's all it did, though, bring it down to no actual figure, Ellie. This is not a knee-jerk reaction, because this bill is a major bit of legislation published at 9:30 today. GB News will be speaking to Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary. That interview is out at 12 o'clock. Then statements in the House of Commons. This is a significant moment for this government, so not a knee-jerk reaction, but certainly a reaction to complete failure by the last government. They can make some ground here if this government can try and bring down net migration to a manageable level. But what that figure is, we're going to be still probably over 500,000 a week Thursday, if not more than that. So is that even anywhere remotely where we need to be? Many would say not, but at least it's a start. And he did say to us in that answer he gave us, we played again moments ago, he will go further if these measures don't work.
Chris, leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Mark, targets then, and he's got to declare them by next week. How do you think this looks?
Well, I think in terms of what the government's trying to do, clearly they want to encourage industry here in this country to start properly training. There's 9 million people who are described as sort of economically inactive, and about half of those, it's believed, could get gainful employment again. But getting them into the likes of the care sector, you're going to have to train them, but you're also going to have to increase the wages of the care sector. All that is going to require the government to put its hands in its pockets and provide more money, and for industry as well to invest more in training people in this country rather than taking already pre-trained people from abroad. So it's a big sort of unknown as to whether that will actually come off. And if it doesn't, we're back to square one, exactly where we are, with industry desperate for people to fill places, no one from the pool here in the UK in a position or willing to do that, and they're going to put pressure on to get more people from overseas again.
And this is a government that is going for growth, isn't it? So, there will have to be an acceptance that if you want British talent, you will have to pay more.
Although that was a very interesting point, I think, that he made about this kind of people drawing the link between very significant migration and an ability to grow quicker and faster. The past 4 years when migration has quadrupled, world, actually growth has been stagnant, especially in 2023 with 1 million people. Growth has been stagnant, is what the Prime Minister is arguing.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks very much indeed for that. So a very busy 40 minutes or so there. Thank you for being part of it. And as a reward, here is your chance to take part in our current Great British giveaway. It's a goodie. Have a look.
Great Britain is ready for you to explore this summer, and there's still plenty of time to grab this fabulous family motorhome. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, the Elnag Baron 560 comfortably sleeps 4, has integrated bathroom and kitchen spaces, and plenty of storage for all of the things you'd need to bring along on your next adventure. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that anywhere you visit in your brand new motorhome is done in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be meeting the man who managed to shed his dad bod for abs and a six-pack in, wait for it, just 4 weeks.
Never.
Yeah, really.
That's the result.
Yeah, we're going to hear the story next.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively. 850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing. It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
No, one of the many, many problems with diets is to give up after you don't see results, certainly not quick enough.
Well, the journalist Harry Wallop took it to an extreme by gaining a six-pack in just, wait for it, 4 weeks.
Doesn't look bad at all.
But how exactly did he do it? Well, he joins us right now live from his home in North London. Good to see you this morning, Harry. How did you do it?
Congratulations, mate. Well done.
Thank you, Eamonn. Thank you. Appreciated. Well, the answer is it's the wise words of my personal instructor are abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. So the secret is I had to lose lots of weight. I did go to give credit to the gym that I use. They did say 4 weeks was very extreme and they wouldn't recommend it. But I had a newspaper deadline to hit and I was determined to do it. So it was a very strict diet of essentially no alcohol, no sugar, no caffeine, no dairy, no carbohydrates, no fun whatsoever. Just the occasional bit of chicken breast and steamed vegetables.
Well, that's all the no bits, Harry. I would have needed somebody in there. I would have needed a chef, somebody to cook the meals for me, because without that sort of discipline, I would waver far too quickly. I would need somebody to be making that.
No, I completely get that. I think if you have lots of money, that is an option, and lots of gyms do now offer that service, so you don't have to think about it. I had to follow a very strict recipe, and I was told, because it was 4 weeks, you know, if you slip once, forget it, the whole thing's ruined. So I kind of had that self-imposed discipline. I mean, it did make going out pretty miserable. If you go around to some friend's house for dinner, you have to bring your own Tupperware of mince. You know, this is no fun.
No.
I think that should be made clear. All these body transformations, the suggestion is, oh yeah, you can fit it in with a normal lifestyle. You can't.
How did you find... Sorry, Harry, how did you find being in a continual calorie deficit for a whole month?
Well, actually, I got used to that. So yeah, you're slightly hungry the whole time. The diet was quite well designed, though. So you have weirdly quite indulgent breakfasts. So you have quite fatty breakfasts. So I was allowed, you know, fried eggs and steak even at breakfast, or omelettes, which I quite enjoyed. And that, I think, the theory is, if you have fat at the start of the day, that kind of keeps you going and doesn't make you too craving for hungry. So I was, you know, that bit was okay, actually.
And Harry, how do I put this? Well, this verges on cheating, but were there any of these Ozempic injections or anything like that?
Eamonn, I'm appalled you should ask. No, in all seriousness, no, not at all. And I think crucially, of course, the one downside, the known downside of all these weight loss jabs is that you lose lots of muscle. So I think that would be impossible to get a six-pack with that. And there was no Photoshop. I had lots of friends when this appeared in the newspaper said, yeah, but I bet the Daily Mail Photoshopped you. I was like, no, they did not. It was miserable. It was hard work. But yeah, you know, it is possible. I think that is the thing. Bit of willpower and the discipline of having your photo in a national newspaper means you can do it.
That's pressure
Harry,
enough, yeah.
There was more than one bit to the hard bit. There was the weight loss situation, and then we were talking about there was a hair gain part of all this for your wife to judge.
Well, yeah, this was a slightly separate experiment, but we kind of yoked them together on a completely separate because I write features for newspapers, and I'm quite fascinated by hair loss and the lengths that men go to. You know, a lot of men are completely obsessed about losing their hair, and I've done various investigations into this. And the latest trend, and I have quite good fun spotting celebrities who I think have gone down this route, is something called a hair system, which is what you and I would call a toupee, but it's a very expensive toupee that is so good, and it's fitted to your natural hair. You have to get it refitted every few weeks. You can go swimming in it. And people love it. People absolutely love it. And so I actually did run a poll on social media. Do you prefer Harry with hair or Harry with a six-pack? And hair won out quite easily, actually. Yeah, women seem to prefer men with hair, which is maybe why so many celebrities make a fool of themselves by doing endless hair transplants. They instinctively know that.
There has to be.
Thank you, my friend. Very, very impressed with what you did. Do you think you'll keep this going?
Well, I'm going to be honest, Eamonn. This was a few months ago, so I've kept up the gym going. So I quite enjoy gym. You know, as you get older, that's very important. But no, I'm back on alcohol and I'm back on carbs.
OK. Good luck. God bless. And we'll have you and your wife on the next time. I think that'll be a good conversation. Thank you very much indeed, Harry Wallop. Thank you.
Now, Britain's Newsroom is coming up at 9:30.
This
Bev
was
Turner's here to tell us all about it. Morning.
Good morning. You know that piece that Harry Wallop did there? I actually read that a few weeks ago and I found it genuinely quite inspiring. It changed some of my habits, that piece that Harry did, because he implemented, although it does sound really dull and it's not what my idea of fun either, he did implement some really simple things like not having as many carbohydrates, as he said then.
Chicken and steamed veg?
Chicken and steamed veg does not set my world alight, but the idea of good fat, lots of good animal fats, so bacon, eggs, and not feeling too guilty as long as you're not having tons of toast with it. It's actually all right. Right, Keir Starmer's been talking this morning, obviously, about immigration, and we're going to be reflecting on that. Did it tell you anything at home that you didn't feel that you already knew? Do you think without a metric, without a number, we're going to be able to judge their success on that? I'd be interested to know what our viewers have been saying on this so far. I imagine there's rather a lot of, well, it sounds like a kind of speech that Reform could have written. Who did write it for him? Do you feel that Keir Starmer really had his heart in it? The crippling expense of the COVID inquiry as well this morning. That and a lot more after the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Some of us are starting off the week with a bang because thunderstorms are in the forecast as this area of low pressure moves its way in from the south to provide a slightly more unsettled picture for some of us. We've already got areas of rain across western Scotland to kick off the day. This is heavy at times, so it will tend to ease off throughout the day. Outbreaks, though, lingering for parts of eastern Northern Ireland as well. It's really into this afternoon that we'll start to see those heavy, thundery downpours developing. Particular focus for them to spread across parts of London, through the Midlands, into areas of Wales, Cheshire region as well. Northern coast of the West Country could also see some heavy downpours at times. There will be hit and miss. Not everyone in these regions will see them, but where they do occur, some localised flooding is possible, so it's worth taking care. And if you do miss them, there will be some warm sunshine in play. Temperatures rising to the mid-20s across parts of Wales and England. 19-20 degrees Celsius possible through the central belt of Scotland as well. These showers will tend to ease off as we do move into the evening, sort of rumbling a little bit across parts of northwest England, southwest Scotland before eventually dying their way out. And many of us will then see a dry second half of the night with some clear spells. Some mist and fog will develop in places, pushing in across eastern coast at a time with that breeze coming in off the North Sea. But it will be relatively mild. Temperatures in the south particularly holding up in double-digit figures. Single figures more likely across areas to the north and the east. Well, away from some cloud across the far north coast of Scotland, it's likely